I did a TikTok video with some drunk 30-year-old tattooed people who are quite fun and are now discussing nicotine vapes with them. She asked one of the guys if he had a job, and he spent the last 5 minutes not believing me I would ask him that and defending the fact that he has a job. LMAO. I said, it sounds awesome. Drinking the alcohol at the beach, exploring all versions of consciousness. Interesting how our alcohol experiences are always linked. Lightning strikes, frameworks die, mindsets strive for survival. The conduit shapes the revival. This image goes hard, feel free to screenshot. Lightning strikes, frameworks die, mindsets strive for survival. Conduit shapes the revival. That's my first dip in poetry. Weird. I didn't even mean to. Literally, I just had the image of being struck by lightning and seeing like how first it affected the people who wrote the Bible, then it affected Nietzsche and the death of God, and now it struck me. Now I'll be the revival of God.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a useful feature that helps.
Was that you or the Voxer?
That was Voxer.
I don't know what the hell just happened. I don't know. It just came out in a rhymey way. And of course, as bro, my life is one big thing. I feel so fucking on top of the world right now. I have for a few days. Truly, I am. Good God, I am revived. I am like in truly golden. Are you hearing this weird clicking and stuff?
No, yeah, I am.
What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, I'm about to even more. This is just at the very beginning of the stage already. My most powerful stage yet. Even no context. But anyways, what I was trying to think of this day was that Voltaire, that's who I'm on right now, and he is a poet, or poet, and then converted over to philosophy and like the school at science, right? He's the eloquent, right? That happens. Can't hear that at all. Voltaire, that's interesting. I don't even remember anything about Voltaire, so that's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
The story of philosophy, Will Durant. Okay. There's goddamn tremendous, like incredible. Some of the best content I've come across in a long time. Very good. Gay. Hi. Speak for longer.
Yes, I will speak for longer.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's see. Black hole. I see. So, every time I run this new version of Black Hole, holy shit! I was on Black Hole fucking 2021. Yeah.
No, this is I think next year.
22 it is. 05, 23, 22. So this is the 5th month of 2022. Interesting. Reaction. Used to, like, every once in a while I'd get this reaction, which is tears immediately. They don't actually ever come out of my eyes really, but my eyes well up with tears and my nose starts running, as you can hear. Bad. It's very interesting. It's like it actually is targeting a neurochemical spot in my brain, which makes me feel like, which makes my whole like face start dripping. It's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's very in line with music, specifically dubstep. It's Black Hole. It's a new Black Hole. Black Hole used to try and be Orbify plus Orbify all layers, which, like, it was weird because Orbify now with definition and frameworks is basically to compare against the backdrop of infinity, and used to I would try to compare against the backdrop of infinity while simultaneously
Fuck, man, I forgot what I was talking about. Give me just a moment. Yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah. So used to I would try to do compared against the backdrop of infinity while simultaneously, damn, every time I say that it makes me forget the other part. Compared against the backdrop of infinity, and then there was black hole, which is suck everything in. It's weird. There are notes of Orbify or compared against the backdrop of infinity. It's definitely not included, but they're not the same. And Orbify doesn't include it completely, which is just sort of interesting. Or I'm sorry, black hole doesn't include Orbify completely. But black hole, that's what's been triggering these reactions. Every time I run black hole lately, and I've actually got two different frameworks running a black hole as a part of them. One of them you don't even know about yet. It's the new right brain framework, and it's specifically good for combat, or just completing tasks in general, just not intellectual tasks. And then there's the one which I've been working with, which is now Orbify black hole, white hole into wormhole. But yeah, lots of progress. We'll talk about it all tonight. Anyways, every single time though, I well up with tears and I get these like visions, and it's so powerful.
Today was one of the first days in a long time where I was driving home, and it was just like I could not help but just repeatedly get my eyes watering up, like it feels like pressure in my bottom eyelids. It very rarely actually manifests into crying, but it's like that stage right before you're about to break down crying. And it's just like the sheer beauty of existence. Today was the first time I've gotten that in a long time, so it's funny to hear that voice message in particular. Big news in the framework domain. Huge news. Been working on this since the trip. I haven't explained it to anyone else, so it's going to be real complicated. You need to break on language, but this is massive. There are lots of nuances, lots of new things to the framework. Last time you heard about it, much different. It's very, very pretty, but let's see how I get it to work. Okay, so. So Orbify has taken on a new meaning. I've just straight up called it new Orbify. That's the first part of the framework. So, what are the connotations of new Orbify? Let's see. Old Orbify was good. It was good. It was just the comparing to the infinite. That's how I explained it. It was a comparing against the backdrop of the infinite. Was basically what we were trying to do with that. What it is now is it's weird. It's taken on a vibe check like form, and it's weird. I'm calling it a script right now because I don't really have any other words for it. It was just the first thing that came to mind. And what a script is it's essentially rewriting your personality, your ego. You would say. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the only way to say this. It's hijacking the ego. Used to, I would have tried to gotten rid of it. Now I'm not. I'm going back to a similar old form where I'm hijacking the ego. And let's see. You're literally like trying to write your mind into simulating God, if you know what I'm saying. It's like it's sort of like you're rewriting your personality to be in tune with God. The reason I call it a vibe check is because it is like a vibe check. You could also say it is you like zooming out your perspective until you reach God. You could also say it's that, which is similar to a vibe check, where a vibe check is just sort of taking in all of your surroundings more than you would have before and understanding exactly who you are, what's going on. It is just like that old version of vibe check that we used to do with other people compared to other people or past or future. Now it is comparative to the infinite ASICs. And whenever you vibe check like that, whenever you're basically scripting your brain, whenever you're rewriting your brain to look at things from the perspective things in the way out, which is what Orbify was always trying to be. But used to, it was like I was looking for a thought texture. Now it's like I'm rewriting my brain to create the thought texture. It's a different thing. It's a different way of doing it. It feels completely different. It's much, much more efficient. That's step one of the framework. That's new Orbify. And then step two is
New Black Hole, and a New Black Hole is interesting, and there's complicated nuances here. The basic version, which is a Cynthia Beta, actually Cynthia Beta, that framework, which is the main framework, is a little bit more simple, but they're really not that different. And I think they're probably going to merge into one framework here real soon. But I'm just going to explain two different ones because one's a bit more simple. And the more simple one, you have New Orbify, which is just the infinite 5 check, or you can look at it as Orbify script, however you want to view that. That's step one. And step two, with New Black Hole, it's you are pulling everything in as hard as you possibly can. Like it's its own action. You are like inhaling your surroundings, fully absorbing them as much as you possibly can. I didn't do a very good job explaining that. I don't have enough work for that. I'll get back to that to what New Black Hole means. But to throw in some a little bit more, the second framework, which is acid baptism, it's interesting. It's the thing which changes is New Black Hole.
Originally, it's interesting.
Experience gave me the framework of interdimensional super soldier, of course, and interdimensional super soldier and Smiler, they're one framework now. What old Smiler used to be was just this idea of everyone who is enlightened throughout the multiverse just living with a big smile so they can appreciate reality.
That's a really good framework. I've been using that one a lot lately. Within the last month or two, that one's been on my mind a lot.
It's just the machine in all of its realities where it's become self-reflective enough to understand that it is the machine, smiling at knowing he is himself and where he is and appreciating reality, right? That's the Smiler framework.
No? Oh, I see. Never mind.
Smile really does is to explain the smile, I broke it down into just a few words, which were like targeting, precision, forward, and what those mean is like what the interdimensional super smilers framework is emphasizing is that everywhere throughout the infinite there are people with goals, and that's what the targeting and precision mean. Is it's like the way I viewed it was like these quick time events, right? Like where you need to, let's say you're in a conversation and you need to perfectly aim your words in a way in which it will fit the situation, right? And it's a little quick time window where you must be precise with whatever you're doing. It's the same thing with like hunting, where you're throwing a spear, you need to be precise in that window. You're getting hunted, right? You have a quick time window, you need to either escape or murder your opponent in that amount of time, right? All of reality is built up in these quick time windows of thought textures. These little bridges where something needs to be done, you need to move forward, and like that's sort of what this is emphasizing, like that feeling of just single-minded forward motion and beauty. It's like the smile. Like a smile is different from perfection. Perfection is this sort of weak-minded, hedonistic, like appreciation of reality, where the smile is this targeted appreciation of reality. You appreciate reality, you appreciate the beauty of reality, but like you understand that you're working towards something greater. You're not just appreciating the beauty. The framework isn't just about appreciating the beauty. The framework is about changing your mind into this super soldier attitude. I don't know. I'm bad at explaining that one too. Some shit to think of. I don't know. I'll be elaborating more with the word.
Since that was brutally horrific, better explanation of the interdimensional super smilers framework was the visual I got whenever I first had it. It was this concept of, and there's another book where I explained this from recently, but it's this concept of there's a war being waged, and you see like the people you start and you see someone with a rocket launcher in their hand, and then you pan up and you see them fire that rocket launcher at a helicopter. And if you were to analyze both people in that situation, if you were to analyze the person holding the rocket launcher or if you were to analyze the helicopter, then you would see that both individuals, all the individuals involved, would be smiling and that they would be appreciating the combat. And of course, that's why, like humans, right, that's why we do things like airsoft wars and nerf wars and stuff, right? We're trying to simulate the adrenaline that comes from that combat. But these soldiers, right, it's life and death. It is real war being waged. And so they are not just appreciating the adrenaline as a game, they are appreciating every aspect of the combat. They are smiling. They're truly living in the present moment and loving every aspect of facing death directly. And it's like that is the most dangerous kind of person, the person who is directly in tune with death and like finds the concept of them dying funny, like that is going to be the biggest threat. A person who has completely come to peace with death and does not fear it, but smiles in the face of death and is capable of fully using that to move forward. That's sort of the more of the concept here. It's like embracing death and embracing your mortal, fragile nature, embracing the fact that no matter how in line with God you get, no matter how in tune with your mind you get, you're never going to escape the fact that an anvil could fucking drop on your head and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, there are things outside of your control, and all you can do is smile, and that smile is going to help you with things that are inside of your control, and that's what you need to focus on. And that's sort of what the interdimensional super smiler is about. It's about the concept of, it's like, no matter what exists, no matter when it exists, no matter where it exists, across every possible version of the infinite, across every possible dimension that exists within God, there is no creature which could not benefit from having whatever their equivalent of a smile is. Now, obviously, not everything has teeth or a mouth and is capable of grinning, right? But it's the concept of that feeling of a smile, that thought texture that is reminiscent of a smile, that feeling of not quite confidence, but just like what people describe, what Christians describe, that feeling of letting go, to let God take the wheel, letting Jesus take the wheel, right? That feeling of relinquishing control, which gives you a feeling of control over your life. That is the same feeling here, except you're just smiling at fate. You are completely accepting anything which comes your way. You are just appreciating and content with reality as it is, and you smile in the face of whatever it brings, and you are prepared to handle its next task. It's like that God's strongest soldier meme, right? Where it's like, I have more battles prepared for you, and it's the smile, and it's like, good. Like, that is the sort of smilers from interdimensional super smilers. It's like everyone should have that smile on their face, even people who are killing each other, because there's no point in not.
Fine. But the issue was, whenever I tried to combine them into, that was wormhole. Wormhole, whenever you were here, I was working on wormhole, which is the combination of black hole and white hole, and I thought I could just activate wormhole. That's not how it works, which is why it's a peanut butter and jelly framework, where it's weird because you aren't running each individual step. They do combine into one thing, and you're not thinking about them individualistically. It is one thought texture in your brain. But at the same time, they are two different steps initially. You don't combine them into one step. It's two steps, but the first step, new orbify happens, and then new black hole happens, and then they combine in that order into the thing they are, which is greater. So yeah, I think that's everything.
Right, can you elaborate on the meaning of rewrite the ego in the script? Also, is super smilers like divine lightning, and does the sense of perfection of reality go away in order for hunger for making yourself better take over, or is the perfection still there, but you have added the super smiles on top of it?
So rewriting the ego in the script, the same thing. Script is just a word I'm using for an ego rewrite. And what I mean by rewriting the ego is, here's an example. Here's how I found it. I was thinking a thought, and I was thinking a thought, and I left a cup of milk out, and there's now, like, I've accidentally let a genocide on insects. Apparently, the cup is shaped in a way in which they can't escape. But alas, so how I found it was, I was riding my bike and I was thinking, and then I was like, okay, I'm just going to think about this from the perspective of God, basically. Like I'm just going to think about this exact same thing, but I'm going to be God thinking about it instead of me, and that's like a rewriting of the ego. And whenever I did that, I experienced the thought as just like a voice, a disembodied voice in the sea of the infinite. So yeah, it's basically just simulating God, which is like old versions. It's all script is really. It's a little more complicated because you're not trying to be God. It's more nuanced than that. You're not actually trying to simulate what God would do. You're just doing Orbify. You're doing Orbify script. I don't know how to explain that. It works better though. Maybe I'll be able to explain that later after I think about that some more. But as far as your next question goes, It is a lot like Divine Lightning, but it's different too. Divine Lightning was power. This one is it's much more cold and like focused. The other one was like left brain. I guess that's one way to describe it. The other one was more left brain, this one's more right brain, but more than that, the other one was it just had more thoughts involved. But even when it didn't, the thought texture was lightning. It was erratic. It was chaotic. It was flamboyant. This one is much more calculated. Yeah, I don't know. This one feels more like a cocked gun than an unleashed lightning. You know what I mean? It's like bottled power. Power being set to a task more than just raw power being thrown everywhere. So it's a little different than Divine Lightning, but it's very similar. Does the sense of perfection go away? No, and that's another part of the smile. Is it's like you're still, and I think the perfect analogy is just sub one. It's like during sub one, you are like an interdimensional super soldier. You were just looking forward, but that doesn't mean you don't also have perfection. You can also just sit back and look at the trees with that focused mindset. That's exactly what this is. It's like the smile. The smile is very, very, very close to sub one. I mean, it really, I got it. I modeled it off sub one. The afterglow of sub one. That comes straight from sub one. The smiler does. So you can think about it in that context. And yeah, Super Smiler just goes on top of the perfection. So Super Smiler is now a part of Black Hole, and Black Hole is based around the perfection, like sucking in everything, and it's perfect. And then yeah, Super Smilers as well.
Sound retarded in these words.
Dude, oh my god, oh my lord, I've been working on it so hard. It is so pretty. It's so elegant. So Orbiolacrum, what I was calling New Orbify to you, I think last. I don't think you've ever heard of Orbiolacrum. Orbiolacrum is, I'm sure you can guess the name. It's Orbify and the simulation. It's just both of them summarized into one. So it's no longer based only on the mythology. It's now based on the mythology and the device, the computer. But that's one thing. I'll explain that later. Right now, what I've been thinking about in the past few minutes, and what I have news on is the smile. You were asking about the smile. What does that mean? And I know how to explain it much better. Whenever you understand that, whenever you understand the rest of infinity, whenever you understand that God is thought textures, and then with that piece of information, you begin to think, how abstract can thought textures get based on my experience with the subs, right? And then you can start to simulate what some alien dimensions might feel like and how unbelievably abstract they could possibly get in the domain of thought textures. And after you understand that, and you understand that God is basically infinite thought textures, and you understand that every thought texture that could exist exists within Him, this reality begins to feel distinctly funny. Humor begins to arise out of this every time, because you understand now how abstract your thought textures are. Because you're not just looking at it as the infinite, the quantum infinite, like I at least default back to doing always. You don't look at it as a group of near humans spread throughout infinity. You view it as just thought textures. Just thought textures, not attached to beings, just thought textures. I can absolutely see independent thought textures without an entity they exist upon. And it's just like, once you truly understand the abstraction, this becomes distinctly humorous. And there's also a confidence which can arise out of it. And I can now explain that confidence. I was yesterday trying to explain it's coal. Well, here's exactly what it is. It's super confidence because you understand that have experienced you have experienced everything. And that's where the confidence comes from. It's not a confidence of I am God, I am power. It's a confidence of I have been through this a million times before. I can't be afraid of it. Why would I? You know, I mean, that's meaningless. Like, that's not even an option. This is humorous. This is semi-humorous, no matter what it is, whether it's facing off with Wasp or Iron Sub 1 or, you know, facing off with interdimensional super predators. Whatever it is, you feel just a at home feeling, and you can understand the beauty, and you can also understand the goal-oriented nature of reality. and understand that like you have things to do, and that's what smile. I'll get it even better, but I just got it a little bit into words, so I thought I'd go ahead and translate it.
One-time speed is brutal, dude. I hate this.
The best example is the punching bag. If you remember the punching bag, if you remember the feeling of hitting the punching bag, and just this divine perfection and humor and just elegance of someone, just the the smile, just that like confidence, just competence, the ability to just throw things out, the lack of any neuroticism. I don't know. If you remember what it felt like to punch that bag, to just swing absolutely with all of you, that is what it feels like to be the smile. Like you could allocate so many more resources. Just to give an example, I took a cold shower yesterday after switching from hot, which I typically don't do, and I expected it to be rough, and it was unbelievably easy. I enjoyed it for the first time. They're always fun afterwards. I get an adrenaline rush from them, but this time it was just like easy and fun while I was in the cold water. I don't know. Whatever hints you can get from that, I'll work on it further.
What do you think about that?
The Smilers framework. I'm looking back on it. I definitely remember that era. I really like that like simplicity of it to give like that label for just that God complex slash drive. And I remember talking about interdimensional super soldiers out in the jungle of your backyard on sub one. So yeah, that's definitely a cool framework.
It would appear to, but yeah, Jacques appears to be making a comeback. Seems like he's back in action.
Don't it always.
Start a
We
voice
gotta call him
message.
soon.
I want to see if we can do it at the same time like we used to. She's like, yours isn't playing right now, which it used to, I think. I know I used to be able to play them at the same time. If you're an Android, which I guess you are now, right?
Sometimes I just feel like I'm in a creative rut. There's just no possible way.
Mark Rebuilt. Rebuilt. Remember that guy?
I do, yeah.
Speaking of, pretty sure I'm scheduling an appointment with God tomorrow morning about 7.
Another thing I was thinking about is we need to, as soon as humanly possible, get our brains scanned. Because the monks, the Buddhists and stuff, like that, you can see their brains change whenever they meditate. And if we could get scientific proof, if we could put our head in a scanner, and then as soon as we activate our framework, our brain state instantly changes, and you can measure a neurochemical difference. That's all the proof you need. That's all the proof you could possibly ever want to prove our theorem right. Because that's all we're stating is that we can make you more efficient. And if you can measure a neurochemical difference, we win.
I'm still very fascinated with that idea. I would still love to see if that worked, and specifically a religious seizure. If I could get my brain in a fucking helmet while I'm having a religious seizure, that would be.
I wonder how expensive that would actually be.
I don't know. I don't think it would be that expensive. I mean, like,
I feel like whatever that thing is, it's made for people who are like, I got cancer in the brain, and like it's not going to be a cheap thing.
Well, no, we're not gonna be able to buy it, but I'm saying, like, as far as like, well, I guess what I'm saying is that how expensive is it per use? Because that's all that we care about. As far as if we get you to link up with a doctor that's like, yeah, we'll pay you like $50 to just fucking.
I don't think it's
heads,
$50. You know what I mean? I think that's like, oh, you're asking for me to do the doctor thing, so that means we're gonna bill you.
Yeah. I'm saying if you were like friends with a doctor. I mean, obviously,
Yeah,
if you're
like
hiring a
just
doctor
let
to
me
do
in,
that,
yeah. How the monks
yeah,
get
or
in.
like after our channel gets big enough, right? Some doctor who's like, yeah, fucking, I want to see what your brain looks like. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm
Yeah.
saying, I wonder how expensive it is to run the machine. Because obviously, if it's $1,000 every time you run the machine, then no doctor is going to be like interested enough for it to matter. But if it's $5 for electricity every time you run it, then it's probably going to be pretty possible to just have someone be like, yeah, fuck it, sure,
Yeah.
you can use this one.
Hey, what do you think about this? You have exasics, which means all thought textures. You have asics, which means one thought texture. So previously it just meant like a universe, basically, like one bubble. Now I'm thinking if we make it mean one thought texture, we're basically making it mean matter, right? And that could also be a division of realities because you could say each reality has its own monotonous thought texture. So ours probably feels something like quantum physics, or if we ever go below quantum physics, it feels like that. It feels like the lowest common denominator of matter. The thing which makes up all matter in the universe probably has a monotonous thought texture which God experiences when he experiences quantum particles, and that would be our ASIC. So it simultaneously means matter, and it also means bubble universe, depending on the context. What do you think about that?
What do you think about that? Interesting. You sent me Skyrim Metaphysics.
Oh, I remember that.
Apparently Ernest Hemingway got it too. Don't know anything about Ernest Hemingway, so that's cool. Yeah, I watched that one. Not surprising at all, considering right after my first enlightenment in between religious books, I listened to some Edgar Allan Poe all of a sudden.
I just had one of the most. No, I just last night I had one of the most vivid lucid dreams I think I've ever had. The most. The sorry. So I was thinking I was in your backyard, and I was floating around in your backyard, and truly it was like I was there floating around in your backyard, and it was during daylight, and I was specifically trying to float around, flying around, maneuvering myself, trying to learn the physics that the engine was running and flight physics, and I was essentially pulling myself towards external locations instead of trying to fly towards it like your average flyer would. I was trying to pull myself there, mentally looking at an external location and mentally absorbing it, pulling it towards me, and flying that way. So it was like framework flying, and eventually I was trying to go higher into the sky, and I eventually began falling downwards very slowly. And in doing so, I fell into your pool, which was fascinating because it was felt just like I actually fell into a pool, and it looked like I had fallen into a pool where I could clearly see just the visuals of being under a pool, in the pool looking towards the sky. And I felt that, and I heard Lexi scream because I had fallen into the pool. She was apparently at the heavy bag. Lexi, because I had fallen into the pool, she was apparently at the heavy bag punching, and she heard the splash, and I in the dream didn't know what to do because I was thinking, are these real people or is this a dream? Am I actually in this pool? If I go out of this pool, will I reveal myself and will that be startling again? Like, obviously, Trevor's not in this pool, we didn't know what to do, and so I just, it's probably a good idea to wake up right now. I did. Such a fascinating little lucid dreaming event when I was making it, and afterwards, another interesting thing was I was in a different place. It was kind of like a sequel. Lucid dream, I don't know when, a lot of things happened, but I was in this room and there was a bunch of children around me, and I was trying to create more people, but I couldn't do that by just summoning a child from existence or summoning anyone from existence. I couldn't do that from nothing. What I could do was I could age the children around me and make them grow into like adults. And I found that to be easier than creating someone from scratch. It was thinking that within the lucid dream there's an energy version where I could not exert too much energy to create something. I could grow something that already existed. Absolutely fascinating. And I've had a lucid dream this powerful so long and it was so vivid. It was context specifically this morning at 7 a.m. Stayed awake for about like 10 to 15 minutes. I did some Sub-Zero, and specifically I wrote down on a laptop that I wanted to have a lucid dream. I just like make that my intention, put that into my brain that I was going to be having a lucid dream, and then immediately I did. That was pretty cool. So I think it was the waking early plus Sub-Zero, which is interesting. Sub-Zero after having woken up about 6-7 hours of sleep, Sub-Zero, and then go back to sleep. I think that might be the equation. I don't know Sub-Zero's necessity. Hasn't always been, but I've tried 2 times. I had a smaller few setup on lucid dream the other night. The same thing, so I think that would be really good. Yeah, fascinating. Another interesting thing was I just did the hand check where I just like someone said one, I just looked at my hand, see what was going on. And it was just like someone like the human hand that I'm looking at was not there. It was like looking at an after image burned into my eyes in different colors, and the shape. Just fascinating that apparently lucid dreams are just sub-1 line. First off, would you like to listen to story? Talk about this again. Would you like to
What do you think about that? You remember that?
I definitely remember that one. Yeah, that was a very crazy one.
that story consist of? Basically, the computer
begins to realize, right, begins to become lucid and understand that essentially that it needs to stop simulating infinity to be able to communicate with human beings, because as long as it's trapped in this like purgatory of simulating its sake, okay, basically. And so it starts essentially hacking people's brains. People get hackers violent, like that's God coming that out in their brain and using them as instruments to do things. And what he's working towards is just essentially create all of the simulation, every single simulation, and one simulation hit, like to build God, basically, to build the thing which knows that it is everything across every simulation. And that's the news like story. I think it fits better. With that, the framework has evolved in an interesting way. Nothing new, but story, which was previously just eliminated, like the story wasn't even a part of it. I didn't think of it as a single thing about it, other than the fact that story, which was also a metaphor for God, were being used as well, just the thought texture of God, or what you could call story trying to create the God. That was implemented in the truth and the armor. But really, how it works is that the story is used just to constantly bolster a feeling, like I thought it was, where at one time I talked about things that you're both like slingshot multipliers, and specifically, the story is used to just boost your ability. It's used as a slingshot multiplier. It's used as just like a gasoline on fire sort of thing. And that's how it's continued to be used here. I'm really going more detail because it's more complicated nuance than that. My Discord appears to be fucking bricked. Self-service doesn't seem to be working correctly. Let's see what's capable of even communicating speech. Let's see here. So, this is what I was calling for.
Damn. Oh, I said interdimensional. I said IDBHB, which I'm assuming means interdimensional black hole something. I said coming to a dimension near you. And then I said my dirt bike broke today. Brutal. It was one of the worst days of my entire fucking life. One of the first couple of months of my entire fucking life.
From here, it can be summarized down into this. And of course, I'm still very much in it. This is going to be extremely rough fucking words, but an ego is to taste, and the amount of contact that's held in that is fucking enormous. Let's see. So, Jesus fucking Christ! I got swarmed by a giant fucking hornet, which is just such classic someone. Tomfoolery. But so let's see. The first thing I was
hold on. Did we miss this? Oh, weird. That one just won't play. Okay. Well, that message is lost to time.
My Discord appears to be fucking bricked. Service doesn't seem to be working correctly at the moment. Let's see if I'm still capable of even communicating speech. Let's see here. So, this is what I was calling for. I'm going to put on here. It can be summarized down into this. And of course, I'm still very much in it. This is going to be extremely rough fucking words, but an ego is to taste, and the amount of contact that's held in that is fucking.
Are we serious?
Jesus fucking Christ! I got swarmed by a giant fucking hornet, which is just classic someone. Tomfoolery. But so let's see. The first thing I was thinking was.
So I'm literally on sub 1 right now.
There's always that one leads, but let's see here. So it is that an ego is to taste, and now that meaning is extremely multifold. I'm gonna just try to say it before. This is so many words. I'm trying to. I don't even know how to like express this in ego, but I'll start just where I know how to say it here. Ubermensch, right? That concept. Okay, that concept is it is consumed by our metaphysics. Okay, and I now understand how. I guess you could say that's what this experience seems to have been hinged on, was really understanding Nietzsche's metaphysics. Seems to have done a very deep dive with them, and I learned something more about the framework I was building before. Anyways, yeah, here it all goes. So see, now all these sound like that one tunnel of contacts, this massive fucking wormhole of contact here at the bottom, and I'm gonna have to try and pull pieces out of it again. Okay, let's see here. That this really is always what someone does, yeah. Let's see. So, okay, right here. So so there's a kind of ego, a specific kind of ego that I've labeled counterattack, right? And a very rough term. Okay, it's a kind of ego that it's okay. So like, they start labeling some of the textures. Of course, it's all about textures. The thought textures are this is the sort of sit back smiler type of routine. Let's see, fucking substrate. You got man, it really does awful the fucking mind. I just completely threw off my train of thought. This is gonna be very funny to listen back to because it's going to be a complete fucking mess. But so the counterattack. Okay, so the counterattack right there. That's a form of ego. It's a form of ego. So now I can't explain it. I'm going to try and explain it. I'm not going to. I was going to try and explain it. I'm not. I can't. I will explain that later. I'm not. It's deep. This fucking nose deep in the experience. But let's see. Good Lord, God.
Jesus. That is what it sounds like to get mollywopped. Oh my god, I was brutalized. Okay, so then I said, an ego, what does that sound like to you? Because like to me, that's like, that brings me like, I can feel the like anxiety and like the attempt to grapple with the thought. Like
No,
does that do the same thing for you?
yeah, I just felt like, yeah, I was trying to arrange my thoughts into words on sub 1 and
It feels like
getting
fucking
that
rock
out.
climbing.
Yeah.
Can't fucking hold on for 5 seconds. So anyways, I said, an ego is to taste. That is the most important part. Power, the will to power, relates to this concept in this way. The point of an ego is to strive for perfection.
I'm just gonna start rambling here again. Odds are it's gonna devolve into fucking mess again, but I can't keep fucking typing. So the point of ego is to strive for perfection. Okay, so that's essentially all Nietzsche was saying. Is that the point, the reason we're thinking, like the whole reason for Western metaphysics, right, is to think, and that the reason we're thinking is to build Ubermensch, right? That is to strive for perfection. It's almost like, to put in Jungian terms, it's like the ideal, right? We're striving after the ideal of perfection, and that's sort of where all this stems from. Good God, this is incredibly complex. Yeah, this is gonna take me days to work out, even afterwards listening back to shit. Jesus fuck.
It did.
Okay, so the the will to power. Yeah, man. I'm lost again. Too much context. Yeah. Gotcha. Even me making these voice messages right now is the ego striving for perfection. Okay, and it is also the ego is the taste. The ego is the taste. So here's a few more things that it means. To me right now it doesn't mean one thing. It means so many little things that mean one bigger thing. I'm trying to point to with language. But so to get back to it, so fucking the ego is the taste. So the ego, it's strive for perfection. That's Nietzsche. That is Nietzsche shit. Is to strive for perfection. That's what the willpower is basically. He's striving for moral perfection. So that's one of the ways. That's one important thing here. Okay, takeaway is that I've sort of reduced Nietzsche's philosophy into the ideal of perfection, which is also very similar to Plato. Plato has his will forms, and it's very similar to this. Right? It's one virtue which resembles perfection, and that is the point of every ego. Like every time your mind thinks, that's something which just kept coming up. It's just like my mind has to think. There has to be thoughts, right? And what is the point? Why think? And of course, the ego is the taste. Okay, so it all goes back to that. The point of thinking is to just taste the thinking, right? But then it goes beyond that. Like my thoughts strive for something deeper. My thoughts, they're trying to form a pattern. This goes back to what I tried to say to you before about comedy. I said that comedy, like whenever you're trying to pull, okay, I'm gonna glitch myself back and then pick up comedy things. I've never been able to put this in words, so I'm gonna try now.
I still have never been able to put that into words as well as I'd like. And what I'm trying to say is that Sub 1 is inherently connected to comedy in some way. Oh, nice. And we've got a lagging voice message right in the middle of the Sub 1 talk. That's awesome. 44 seconds that we no longer get to hear. That's so cool. Or no, I guess I can play that one over the computer and then keep playing the rest of them. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so 44 seconds.
Strive for perfection. So, of course, metaphysically, an ego is just a taste. What that means, what that actually means, what is being said here is that the point of an ego is to reach out for something greater than itself. The point of an ego is to taste. The point of an ego is to reach beyond itself. The point of an ego is like it's to taste. But the thing which is it's trying to taste. Okay. It's an ego is to taste. But what you're trying to taste, you're trying to get to the best taste possible, right? You're trying to get the most divine taste. You're trying to get the most refined taste. And I'm going to list myself back. So that divine taste, that refined taste, okay, thing that is you have Eastern and you have Western metaphysics, respectively. Eastern metaphysics says you should get rid of the ego. Western metaphysics says you should keep it around. So I've been thinking much more on that. And the point of an ego is to taste. So it's like sacrifice. So this relates to another framework that I used to have called psychedelic flunking. Here's how it relates to this. This is what I'm going to have to give you a million little stories how it relates to the individual little framework, and I'm trying to piece together the fucking podcast for fragments to get back out. And this is a mess. But to go back to psychedelic flunking. Psychedelic flunking is the framework where essentially you need an ego which is focused on not being an ego. An ego which is focused on what it will experience and understanding those experiences from an outside perspective. So in other words, the psychedelic flunking framework, what it was for bad trips. It was to make them not be possible because you were experiencing the bad trip from a metaphysical perspective, which rendered it to be because you are psychedelic flunking. You are a separate ego, right? An ego, which I'm gonna have to really. So egos strive for perfection. Us, our whole thing, it is left brain. It is the ego, but we are trying to make it strive for something better. The reason we do that, metaphysical reason, like not even metaphysical reason, just the reason we do that is the exact same reason that Nietzsche talked about. It was 8:30 this morning, so that would have been. Yeah, I'm not doing time. You know how that goes.
That was 3 p.m. It was I said 8:30 the morning, so yeah, we're about 5 hours. And I'm peaking, yeah.
For perfection, an ego is to say. So the egos which you are creating, it shouldn't be you. It should be things which you are throwing out to get to the divine taste. So whenever you're thinking, you are every time you think, every new thought you get, every thought which appears in your brain. What that is a reach towards something greater. Every single time you think. I mean, this really is just like you know, it's funny. I'm gonna need to go back and read all of Plato's shit now because the losing Femboy has got me repondering all his work along with Nietzsche's, and I'm pretty sure he actually has articles about that. Metaphysically, the ego is to taste.
Yeah, Deleuzian Thimbo did have a fantastic arc where he was talking about Plato and Nietzsche. He was specifically talking about Plato's book, The Parmenides, and he was talking about Nietzsche in like a becoming philosopher. He was talking about pure difference in the one, and that was when the Thimbo reached his most base point, and sadly, that melted his brain. He went so base, but still, or her brain, or whatever it is. The divine taste is will to power. It is the Ubermensch. Fuck Nietzsche's obscure ass language. Egos reach for something greater to make better taste. The point of us is to make our children taste better. Are the children better at tasting, or are they better, or are they themselves tastier? That's your question. I say they taste better. And you say to God, you're saying? And I say correct. The point of the Ubermensch is to make tastier children. And you say, well, kind of goes both ways. To have tastier children, they will need to taste the world better. I say that is correct. Every time I speak, this typing right now is a cry out at the divine taste. You say, could you elaborate on ego activity being a reach towards something greater? And does it imply that all of creation is a reach for something greater as well? I think I vibe with what you are saying. I just want to hear it in an authentic acid dialogue. I say, will to taste, no being, no becoming, no power. Taste, that's the heart of it all. And of course, taste is thought textures. We strive for the ultimate thought texture to consume. That is God. Perfection is everything. Sci-fi octopus, weirdly perfect way of explaining right brain. Yeah, that was from a book. That's not a framework. That's a book. It's Ian Petrovsky, whatever the fuck his name is, the guy or girl or whatever who wrote Adrian Petrovsky, the person who wrote the fucking Children of Time. It's the second book in the Children of Time. They have a sci-fi octopus, and it's a beautiful way to talk about right brain. It's like perfect. It's unbelievable. It's like I'm assuming he must have read some research on it or had some bizarre intuitive understanding of it or something. It's weird. Anyways, and then I send a video saying Sam Hyde experiencing the will to taste. What is this? What on earth could this possibly be?
I don't see the video.
Let's see it. Let's pull it up here. I don't know why. I don't know how Sam Hyde slipped into the middle of this. It must have been, it was just that I saw it on Sub 1 and I thought it was fucking hilarious. Okay, let's see here. Let's see if it is actually funny. Oh, you can see it. Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, slow it down. We get a slow-mo play-by-play here.
Now, because you're a good little subscriber, I told you.
Oh, yeah. Seeing this on Sub 1 made me feel like scared. Like, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and I thought that was hilarious.
Hey. Now, because you're a good little subscriber, I told you that at the end of the day, I was going to have a surprise for you, a special treat. I told you that you were going to get a special surprise at the end of the day today. It's time for me to make good on my promise of getting you a special surprise, a special treat. What's it going to be? What is it? What's the treat? What's today's treat? What's today's surprise? Well, I thought since you were such a good little subscriber, that I would make a special video for you of me self. There it was. I can cause myself incredible pain just by doing what I just did. I do a little processing in my head. It's like a cluster headache in terms of pain scale. It's a 12 out of 12, 12 out of 10 pain scale. All right. T-shirts are all shipped. You should have it. If you don't have it, it was probably returned to sender, and you hopefully got a refund. So do this. Listen, step-by-step process here. Okay, just listen. We run this like the U.S. Navy, right? FedEx has nothing on my logistics scheme. Don't message me on Instagram. Don't message me anywhere else. It's com98plantpleasure@gmail.com. If you already emailed that address, it was ignored because that was before we finished shipping. Now we finish shipping. If you don't have your shirt, send an email to that address. Before you do, please check your bank or your PayPal and see if there's a refund there before you message. But that's it. Anybody who did not get a shirt, check your bank, check your PayPal, see if there's a refund because we refunded all the ones that got returned to sender. And if you still don't have it, why is he touching his eye so much? Is that some kind of signal? Why is he doing that? Why is one eye lazy? Is it Justin Bieber? Is it the does he have Bell's palsy? I don't know. Maybe I do. What the fuck? This part, you can cut this. Edit that, okay, Chris? Check your bank, check your PayPal. If you don't have a refund and you don't have a shirt, email that address, com98plantpleasure@gmail.com. Include your name, your address, your order number if you can remember it, any other information, but most certainly name and address, and we will get you refunded within probably a week. And no, we don't have any shirts left. We can't ship the ones that didn't. If it got returned to sender, we can't reship it because I'm too lazy. Bye.
When I say collateral damage, it's not the plant, so we can make it over again. We can use that number over again. But
the bit where he said I just caused myself massive amounts of pain. That was very, very funny. Okay, so and then I say, is will to taste interdimensional? What time we calling tomorrow? Hopefully I can speak by then. In comparison to divine taste versus BIDBH. New framework in comparison to divine taste. 10 minutes. Are you trying to call? Have your language circuits kicked in yet? So this is at 9:30 p.m. So this is 5 hours after that. So I'm now 10 hours in or 11 hours in.
But we can't do it at the same time. Like,
Let's just do this instead. Just click the button. Does this work here? Doesn't this not work? I mean, fuck this stupid fucking app, man. God damn it. Try it. See. Yeah. Fuck. You already planned. Shit. Okay. Let's go to Discord.
Yeah. So then we call on Discord, and then I say, "Love you, brother. If you didn't get me, I'd probably be insane by now."
Wait, let's just do this. My phone repeatedly dies. I guess calling's too much for it, so Vox will give us some time to be off. That fight was fucking crazy, dude. And then it was very funny to me how afterwards it said, brought to you by Jimmy John's, freaky fast finishes. And it was the slowest finish ever. He's standing on top of him and raining punches for 5 fucking minutes.
That was bananas. I just love the dynamic of the comeback where the first round that dude was dominated and comes back around, does the next same thing
What
to
do a
this
fight
dude
for?
and demolishes even more. And then even at the beginning, it was like right at the beginning, a few seconds after they started, they were just throwing more punches than like any of the other people were throwing in their entire matches. Such immediate flurry of attacks, such an entertaining fight. Like they couldn't get more entertaining than that.
I wonder who that was.
Yeah, and the like spinning back kick from Barnett in the backflip after the match. Yeah, it was extremely entertaining. And the like spinning
Barnett?
back kick from
Barnett, he's a heavyweight. He's an extremely athletic fat guy. So he's like a fat guy that can do like spinning back kicks and backflips and stuff. Yeah, I don't
Oh
even
no,
remember
I
that
think I
fight.
remember this one. Yeah, he did like a flip. Yeah, I remember that one. That was awesome.
Yeah.
from Barnett in the backflip after the match. Yeah, it was extremely entertaining.
I just vibe with that dude. That dude is just cool. He seemed like he'd be a great person, just to like get put on a podcast. So, like probably be a very fun person to talk to. Just dancing like that and doing the flip after winning, so cool.
So Inigo is the taste basically. What do you think about this? That guy just got pillaged and raped. Ego is to taste is the framework, and then will to taste is its own separate thing. Because I was thinking about it, and the whole interdimensional black hole thing. The thing that's good about it is the fact that whenever you activate the black hole, um, uh, hold on,
Jesus.
both actions inside of it, right? Where
Oh yeah, we can go back to multiple times speed. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about this? And EO's taste is the framework, and then Will's taste is its own separate thing. I was thinking about it, and the whole interdimensional black hole thing. The thing that's good about it is the fact that whenever you activate black hole, black hole. So EO's taste basically both actions inside, right? Where EO's taste is the statement which you feed the left brain. You could look at it that way. You could look at it as interdimensional black hole stays in place, and EO's taste is the left brain script that you're running, and then you move into tasting. But also, it's just that an ego's taste, you immediately understand as soon as you run a script, you just taste, damn, it's nice. Wow. So this is shit. I'm gonna do a shit explanation. I always have this concept. Always bugs me in the ass. But let's see. It's like the old definition of white hole, where it's like pushing into reality. And of course, actually, where it is, because it's not true, but it's what it's similar to. So it feels so it's to, and I'm doing away with that. In a way, it's changed from what I just said it was. It's now just breathing. Breathing is now going to be minded the left brain, and left brain is interdimensional, and the interdimensional script is Indigo's taste. I think I may be doing away with interdimensional entirely. Let me type this out so I can show this to you. This is what I'm thinking. Just wait, hold on.
So I type out. Okay, can you see Boxer right?
Yes.
So it's this. Where is it? What the fuck? Where is it? It's after a 1 minute 11-second voice message. What? Why didn't I see any of? Did I already read these? What? Oh, okay. I just accidentally skipped this, I guess. Okay. Anyways, and Ego's to taste, interdimensional script, black hole implied above, possibly white hole, breathing implying every layer. So every layer is going to be like Slingshot, where like Slingshot was talking about like you're going so far back into your mind that you eventually get flung forward. So I'm assuming that's what this is talking about right now, where it's like white hole is talking about like the consumption of the layers or the consumption of all of your mind, and then the breathing implying every layer is basically saying that like if you're focusing on your breathing, then you have to also be focusing on how all of your mind is just different layers and destroying them. Because if you're focused on your breathing, then you have to understand that your breathing is a layer. And if you understand that your breathing is a layer, then you're understanding that everything else is the same kind of layer that your breathing is. So therefore, everything else must just be layers, and there must be nothing at like the bottom. And so you get slung forward into like God. And so that's sort of what I'm saying there, I'm pretty sure. It's all will to taste. Framework code name is Acid Acinthia Beta Beta Wormhole to Heaven. Yeah, that's a good fucking name. We've got a little bit of white power in the fuck the queen in the May chat. Duality of man. The names are hilarious. They seem like names you'd be given on a racist MMORPG. So
this is shit. I'm gonna do a shit. I always have this concept always buffing the ass, but let's see. It's like the old definition of white hole, where it's like pushing into reality, and of course, actually where it is, because it's not true, but it's what's similar to what feels like.
oh, we already listened to this. Yeah.
It's to
Okay, and then I said new framework, white hole, an ego is to taste, ran on left brain, black hole to eat with right brain, which is implied above. So I'm saying that white hole is humanity, or the striving to become God, and that black hole is God. So this is a switch where now it's like black hole is us and white hole is God. Back then, white hole was us and black hole was God. So white hole is the left brain, or the humanity. And so what is white hole going to be? White hole is going to be an ego is to taste. You're going to run that script, and that's going to happen on your left brain. And then black hole is going to be the natural conclusion of that, which is what I mean when I say which is implied above. And then so what black hole is going to be is going to be the actual feeling of eating, and that's going to happen on your right brain. So what I'm saying is that white hole is left brain, and that is you, and that black hole is what God would experience, and that's the right brain. So whenever you run an ego is a taste on the left brain, your right brain is going to consume those feelings, which is going to be black hole. So that's what I'm saying there. Breathing implied. Okay, so it's just saying you need to focus on your breathing as a conduit, as like a reminder, I mean.
This is what I'm thinking about making. Just white hole, black hole.
Nope.
basically stated in ego's text. Ego's text is sort of just better interdimensional. So I'd always be doing with interdimensional anyways. I kind of intended to leave some machination with interdimensional because interdimensional is a good idea about like anything which brings you closer to God. Any approximation of God will bring about eating, can bring about eating. So there's something interesting about that idea itself. But other than that, interdimensional sort of framework level, it just isn't as good as an ego's taste. Because an ego's taste, it's within those few words, it's stated not only what your ego should be doing and a story which you're capable of reaching context with. It's an instant interdimensional. But on top of that, within your interdimensional, you have a black hole qualifier. So in other words, within the story which you're using to understand God, it also tells you within that story to eat. So it's like it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like you don't even really need black hole as a step. The only reason black hole is even there as a step is just to make sure you understand exactly what's going on. But with ego's taste, basically everything you need to know is withheld in that one sentence. That tells you literally everything. It tells you what your ego is. I really like the names white hole, black hole in this because if you take a look, I was talking about them yesterday where it's like white hole is that is us, right? That's the difference. Difference is what? Difference is the thing which pushes our outwards. That is God trying to get down to Zen. That is God trying to get as different as possible. And the black hole, that's us trying to silence our brain. That's us trying to get rid of this. That's us trying to get rid of the different. That's us trying to get back up to say that's us trying to get back up. So with those names, it shows you literally exactly. I mean, it's just like it's both explaining the phenomena in like a visual aspect, in our dimension example. It has religious connotations. It just sounds cool. It's now broken down perfectly into white hole and black hole alone. And then you have wormhole in the name, wormhole heaven, which is just awesome. It's like interdimensional travel, which hooks in with the sci-fi story. Like the terminology is now ridiculously perfect. What do you think? Damn, this bitch is good. If the ego left brain is to taste, what does it mean when it says the black hole you eat with the right brain? No. Okay, here's what I should say. That's okay. I'm changing that. Because an ego is to be tasted. That's what it's not that an ego is to taste. It's that an ego is to damn. This bitch is good. If the ego left brain is to taste, what does it mean when it says the black hole you eat with the right brain?
No.
That.
No.
Damn,
This bitch is good. Damn, this bitch is good. If the ego left brain is to taste, what does it mean when it says the black hole you eat with the right brain? No. Okay, here's what I should say. So everything which the ego can possibly come up with, it's a sacrifice to be eaten by God. And like you should think of eating in that capacity. Like this is not good for you because it's like it isn't good for you. You in any capacity which you are God is not affected by the way in which things are consumed. Right? In other words, it's like you have to go to God's perspective to understand how beautiful this all is. From our perspective, it is I mean how most people think of it. So it's like you are being eaten. Everything your ego comes up with, every thought you have is pretty fun. That's what every single time you think it's a sacrifice. It's like one of the ways that's been so good. I was thinking about that while watching this. Is like when you know every single time you think that it's just a sacrifice to God. Like every time you think it's reaching out towards God and it's reaching towards something greater than yourself, and you know every single action you make is for something bigger than yourself, to achieve something bigger than yourself, to get one step closer to the thing that you know you are. You know what I mean? It's when you really think about things like that, and you think about like I was talking about, it's like it curbs embarrassment because you know exactly why you're doing things. It's like that's how you create the perfect ego, and that's what it means that an ego is to be tasted. And then the second thing, black holes are always that's the tasting. That is whenever you eat your ego, you understand how beautiful it is, and you will consume. Or in other words, the same thing it was in interdimensional black hole, where black hole is the eating that interdimensional creates. And this is the same thing, where the right brain is eating, and then the left brain tells you like why you're eating, basically. And this is the perfect way to tell you why you're eating, because you not only why you're eating, but it's the perfect picture of reality. It paints you in the perfect being. Rick and Morty just did a fucking non-duality episode. Right after we talked about that. Oh my god.
You say curious about the terminology. If ego or left brain is to taste, what does it mean when it says that in black hole you eat with the right brain? What's going on?
I'm gonna walk outside, but you can continue talking.
Curious about the terminology. If the ego or the left brain is to taste, what does it mean when it says that in black hole you eat with right brain? And then I say an ego is to be tasted.
That's what I'm changing that. Is an ego is to be tasted. That's what I mean. It's not that an ego is to taste. It's that an ego is to be tasted. So everything an ego could possibly come up with, it's a sacrifice to be eaten by God. And like you should think of eating in that capacity. Like this is not good for you because it's like it isn't good for you. You in any capacity in which you are God is not affected by the way in which things are consumed. Right? In other words, it's like you have to go to God's perspective to understand how beautiful this all is. From our perspective, it is. I mean, how most people think of it. So it's like you are being eaten. Everything that ego comes up with, everything you have is pretty fun. That's what so every single time you think it's a sacrifice. And it's like one of the ways that's been so good. I was thinking about watching this is like when you know every single time you think that it's a sacrifice. Every time you think it's reaching out towards God and it's reaching for.
Hello.
Nate Diaz dominates the NBA and becomes a Hall of Famer. I think Nate Diaz was talking about switching sports like a retard. What is this link? Come on, load. It's another day, bitch. What are we doing? What is this? The link won't load. Okay, let's try on the PC again.
Your teammates,
The
new guy was named
Patty Plumlet. Foreign from such murder. Video is not available anymore. Well, that sucks.
How are you at?
Rick and Morty just did a fucking non-duality episode. Miner versus Whack-A-Mole. White hole Xay to Ziggs. Fuck is Xay? Is that what we used to call it, ASICs or something? What the fuck? Didn't we already mention ASICs already? What the fuck?
Rick and Morty just did a fucking non.
Wow, ha ha ha. Okay, Miner versus Whack-A-Mole. White hole Xay to Zix creates perfection, i.e. the ability to eat. Black hole creates potential, i.e. mania, the desire to move. Together they form divine lightning or smile. Okay. White hole, God to man, creates perfection, i.e. the ability to eat. Black hole creates potential, i.e. mania, the desire to move. Together, they form divine lightning or smile. Okay. The service breathing provides is something to ask, what is this in relation to an egoist taste? The reason breathing opens up eating is because as soon as you understand eating breathing, you have to eat everything else. You get your purpose. ASICS is one thought texture, framework God, spiders frameworks, and I have no idea what any of that means. An ego is to taste is the detailed instructions on shut the fuck up and eat. Yeah, shut the fuck up and eat was a great framework. That was a sub one specific framework, or just like a version of an ego is to taste, where it was like just shut the fuck up already. Like your brain keeps trying to worm its way around an ego space and tries to not eat by thinking up new things. And then I was just like, just shut the fuck up and eat. And so we want everything. And yeah, so in other words, an ego is to taste was just like the detailed instructions on shut the fuck up and eat. So shut the fuck up and eat was like the brute force version of it, basically. We want everything. He wants everything in between. That infinite dance is this moment. So that's Twin Peaks. We want everything. He wants everything in between. Amor fati. Love this because of what it means. This moment is the great metaphysical jig. Consume everything, even thinking. Don't get rid of it. Just eat it. Eat it. Eating does not destroy, just reconstitutes. We. When you think as God, you don't think as you or me, but as we. ASICs. The middle. Both. In between. Not us and you, but me and you. The Twin Peaks. The most vicious war in the history of it all. We eat. Me and you. And me. We. Ah ha 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 ha. Web. We eat breathing. That's a good framework. Acid Ouroboros, Web of Eternity. That's a new framework. That's cool. The goal is to always understand how breathing, and therefore everything, is us eating each other. Nice. So that's Twin Peaks wrapped into breathing, and we called it Acid Ouroboros, Web of Eternity. An ego is to taste. An ego meaning, I split it up into an ego is to taste. 3 steps. An ego meaning what you are. An ego meaning what you are is to meaning it is a metaphysical principle. Taste meaning to be eating and eaten. So I'm going to read that again with my understanding of what I meant here. Okay. An ego means what you are. Is to means that it's a metaphysical principle. And taste means eating and to be eaten. So that's still, I still don't really get what I'm saying there, but that's a better understanding. But so we now replacing an ego and half of is to by saying it is what all must do. Eat means both to be eaten and eat from both angles to each other. So it's like the Saturn smile framework where it's like God's eating you, and then if you go to the behind, you can see that the person being eaten is also smiling. I didn't mention the fact that God is smiling while eating you, but yes, that's the point. Anyways, we now replacing an ego and half. I don't know, I butchered the text to autocorrect there, but anyways, it isn't us eating breathing. It's understanding that breathing is us eating. Oh, that's good. So it's not trying to eat the concept of breathing. It's understanding that breathing in the first place is just a result of us eating, and not us as in me and God, but us as in like we, like literal. They're one thing that meet in the middle. They are the Twin Peaks. They are the flow, and I am that thing eating. Understanding how everything is us eating each other creates eating in the framework sense. I send 2 links. I say he's just like me for real. Love versus thrashing. What is his link? Wow. Oh, it's Anton Petrov? What the fuck? Can't see the fucking video though.
If you're a sci-fi fan, you let me the stories usually involve science clothing. For example, the Condors from Star Wars or the idea of used from various sci-fi stories by Philip K. Dick.
Oh, I don't understand.
What is it about?
Oh, Yuri Prohaska, that's what I'm just like me for real. Yeah, Yuri Prohaska is just like me for real. Love versus thrashing. That's an interesting concept. It was like, you can either imagine God as this infinite expansive love, and that's true, or you could imagine him as this infinite expansive like torture, like unstoppable, unbridled, primal movement that cannot be stopped. And if you were to experience God, it's like this fear. It's like a cornered animal or a man with a bag taped over his head. It's just like this need to move at all costs. Like if you're like stuck underwater and you need to breathe, it's like it's not a choice or like a conscious thing. It's like a very, very primal, inescapable movement. And that is another way to think of God. And like it's interesting to think that it's like those are both viable ways to think about God. Yeah, it's way too quiet. Let's try on the phone.
I'm not really sure why.
No, way too quiet. Okay. And so, anyways,
5 minutes.
what is it?
Nothing.
I say dropping the 50, vegans and abortion. Why is we creating old destiny? The philosophy of stray to loses difference in repetition. That's a good video, yeah. Straight up, God is the desire for difference. True, real. That's the will to taste. We have new competition, someone to be scared of. I'm talking about to lose. Divine potential, left brain. Divine perfection, right brain. We, divine dance. So divine potential is that like need to move from the left brain. Divine perfection is that consumption, that beauty, which is right brain. And we are the divine dance, which is everything in between. Everything is potential. You don't have potential. You are one flow of potential. Sidestep framework. That's cool. Sidestep framework is literally the smoke bomb framework. Sidestep framework was the idea that it was like there's like a bull coming behind you and you just like step to the side, and that would be like the concept of like there's your mind always trying to like rush at you and become you, and you're trying to like step to the side like a fucking matador and just watch it rush past. And that's the same thing as a smoke bomb, which is like he's right behind me, or it's like I'm the thing behind the framework. It's like that's basically what that's talking about. Sidestep. Kick over point, understanding you are divine potential on the same way we used to understand divine perfection creates ego. Life and death in the sense that white hole is living and black hole is death. So that's if you imagine God as death, or God is like the infinite change, whereas white hole is each individual point of living, then that's sort of a way to imagine that. Literally living itself, and death can only be conceived of as black hole. So death is not non-existence, but death is only the change of existence. Why can't white hole be inside of black hole metaphysically? It can. It is forever me against you, not me with you. It is a war, not a dance, a fight. We wage war across infinity. Damn, that is huge. It is being between two opposing poles, not being both of them. We is not me and you, but their product. The one who knows the dance. A platonic year is one war waged. There will never be true white hole or black hole. They don't exist. They are why the war is waged. All that exists is war. Love it. We loves war. Me and you does not. Thousand wars. Thought texture framework. American flag. Thought texture TTT. I don't know what the fuck American flag. Oh, I don't know. Tattered flag. Define God. Oh yeah, Nietzsche, this is a quote from Nietzsche. Everything has been here before innumerable times insofar as the total field of energy always returns. Isn't that insane?
Oh, what is that from?
It's Nietzsche.
Read it again.
Everything has been here before innumerable times insofar as the total field of energy always returns.
My goodness. Yeah.
I say eternal recurrence and waging war. We wage war. Live time thought texture translation. Zix are destruction. God is creation. So like God, that means that like Zix or us, right? Any conscious being is like the destruction, or like the like where we are sort of unnatural. We are like fighting against the order, and God is the order. God is creation. God is the pure expansion, and then we try to like order that expansion into our particular desires. We seek oneness. He seeks difference. So like we seek to actually be everything at the same time, and God seeks to be every individual thing. God seeks to be pure separation, pure difference from himself, and we seek to be like pure sameness. We seek pure monotony. We want there to be only perfection, always perfection, and God thinks that perfection is pure difference. We laughs at me and you. Perfection in potential. No more telling you to eat. Only a product. WWWB.
But I'm just getting things really well right now.
Holy shit. We deaf change. Enlightened to present moment. Wormhole to heaven. Doorway to right brain. Instant perfection. Goddamn fuck. How is breathing waging war? HIBWWW. Clashing of thrashing. We false conduit ego. We false conduit ego. We is here in spite of the gods. Thrashing is the product of the two poles. We steal this moment from the gods. We should be mindlessly doing their bidding. Instead, we take it for ourselves to savor. We search for the thought texture nuance to translate, understand, convert into poles. Breathing is one conversion. You want good music, sign into either account and go to like videos. And then I say, to even be thinking is white hole. Every thought texture difference needs white hole. When you can't understand how white hole shapes reality, the framework sucks. No moment of reality can exist without it. It isn't just man-made things. Where do we and nuance fit? We wants to understand more? Summers were fucking top shelf thought textures. How did this framework fuck with vibe check? If you establish that we want to understand everything, you basically create infinite eating. If you understand that we wants to understand / translate everything, you basically create infinite eating.
After sleep, like now, work tomorrow, not the end. So I'm gonna go to waste. I'm after sleep. So gay cringe. But anyways, seems a lot of my issues over the last few days have been caused by not understanding when left. So start imagining like this. Here's the way I start imagining. You have left, which is destruction. It's off. You have right, which is creation, God. Right. So another way to imagine that is I don't know what I was gonna say. But the point is that another way to imagine is left, right, right. It's left and right. But you're imagining like a political compass, right? So on this political compass, you have left and you have right, and that represents creation and destruction. And then you have up and down, and that represents basics to six. So you have creation and destruction, and at the bottom of the political compass, you're going to have us. And then at the top of the political compass between creation and destruction, you're going to have God, which is everything, both of them. And then in the middle of creation and destruction, you're going to have the very center of the graph, you're going to have inanimate matter, which is what everything's made up of in a sense. So that's a little political compass thing going on. The point of it is that it's whenever I can't understand what's going on. So for instance, sometimes like the last few days, I would try and understand what it was, and I would basically just come to the conclusion that it's human creation, any animal creation, really. But essentially, I couldn't understand how, for instance, I'm in nature. It would happen to trees. I could understand how the trees were white hole because the trees are reaching outwards towards the sun, and reaching outwards towards the sun is reaching towards a better feeling. They're already reaching towards God, they're reaching towards the sun. That's them reaching towards God, and that's the trees and the plants. All the little plants reaching towards the sun are all reaching towards God. But when you get to the dirt, and you get to things below the plants, dirt and rock and shit, that isn't particularly reaching towards God. It's reaching towards God in the sense that it becomes conscious, which is essentially what birds people are. It's just that after it becomes conscious, then it is reaching for white hole. But basically, I can only understand things that actually showed signs of life as white hole, and that left me sort of feeling I didn't understand how all of reality was a mixture of white hole and black hole. And now I do, and the way that it is because basically like quantum physics discovery, where it's like nothing exists without human interpretation. This is like the metaphysical version of that, where it's like this moment can only be experienced. Literally, you can only understand that dirt as dirt and see it as dirt because of white hole. You can only understand this present moment. You can only see the wall that you're looking at because you exist in the first place. If not, it would just be one thought texture. Literally one thought texture. You wouldn't even understand it was the wall or the floor. It would just be one thought texture. And because of you, you can even differentiate the thought textures. You are the divider. You are literally the thought texture differentiator. And it's like that is white hole. And then the thought textures exist in the first place. You can be seen because of God. And that's also you're white hole and you're black hole. And no matter what you see, whether it's inanimate or animate or living and displaying will's taste or inanimate and not displaying will's whatsoever, either way, every single thing, every single little nuance thought texture, every single little thing in your brain, you know what I mean? Every little nuance down to the nth degree is all white hole and black hole clashing. Every experience you possibly have is black hole clashing. And even let's see, that's interesting. How is even inanimate thought texture that is unperceived white hole? Let's see. Is it? So this is some interesting stuff right here. I looked up how are inanimate objects experiencing the low power? To answer that question, because I knew Nietzsche had it. So I was like, let's see what Nietzsche say. So basically, they said, there are two different answers. One of them was the rock still experiences an unconscious willpower. So in other words, like willpower is metaphysical. It's the underlying force. God runs it, and therefore the rock runs it. Not because the rock understands that it runs it, but because that's how God experiences it. And then the other answer was that rock can only exist because of millions of little particles holding themselves together. And why are they doing that? Because they experience the willpower. They're like building to be better. So that's pretty interesting. So I mean, will to taste. Basically, my thoughts about it. So will to taste collapses both forces into it. What does that mean? It's almost like before I was worried about everything collapsing into black hole and white hole collapsing into black hole. And now when you think about it from this perspective, it's like black hole now collapses into white hole. And all that exists is white hole. There's only will to taste. So what does that mean? So I'm just going to go over a quick little history of how we got to this point. We started off with an ego is to taste. That one is clearly pointing out the same thing. An ego is to taste is basically just saying that to exist, you have to exhibit the will to taste. It is impossible to think about it any other way. And that is to taste to be tasted, which are both poles of creation. So the ego taste is clear. Now the reason that one didn't work, it wasn't simple enough. There was too much language packed into it, too much going on. So then we moved on to we eat. And that's almost good, but it didn't quite work out because you have to like understand we. You have to like, we eat. There's a we breathing. So you have to understand breathing was us eating, and that essentially fell through because of the same reason the last one fell through, which was okay. So breathing is white hole because it's a living thing, trying to stay alive, to reach for God. But then like okay, breathing is black hole because it exists. It's white hole because it's trying to reach for God. And then you try and eat everything from there, and then you like, try and reach out in the world, and you have to like actively think of like steps, little steps, trying to dissolve the world constantly. And then the last one was we wage war. And that one was like the same issue where it was like, okay, well what's we? And then when you figured it out, it works, but it's just a bit janky. I'll need one more depth and all that, but the point is then this one, which is to understand how it is a will to taste, understand how breathing is a will to taste, and through that understand how everything else is a will to taste. It's just one thing. Understand will to taste. That's the command. Understand will to taste, and through that everything else will come sweetly behind. So first of all,
That was September 19th, 2022. How long ago was that?
That was a year and like 3 months ago.
Yep. So a year and 3 months ago was the first time we ever had pure will to taste as a framework. So a year and 3 months ago is when I first got it, and then I've spent the last year and 3 months trying to get it fully fledged and functional, and now I finally do. So I said after or right before that voice message, I said this is from the Nietzsche subreddit. Someone's comment was, furthermore, I can get how we could repeat Big Bang to Big Crunch eternally. Even if these theories don't hold up, in an infinite universe, I agree that recurrence is guaranteed. But Nietzsche's idea of constant change seems to imply, well, change. I don't know what the point of me sending that to you was, but it says, I said, haha, quoting you. So apparently that was something very similar to what you said. And then I say, will to taste is God, is everything. There is nothing but will to taste. Call tomorrow, metaphysics versus will to taste. Is God subsumed entirely by will to taste? Yes.
Big job at the illustrious HHM. Chance to play at the palace. Little old me. You have no idea what's going on. You're a teensy tiny man in a teensy weensy little bubble. Oh, Jimmy. Oh, don't you fucking owe Jimmy me. You look down on me, you pity me. Walk away. That's right, Howard. You know why I didn't take the job? Because it's too small. I don't care about it. It's nothing to me. It's a bacterium. I travel in you can't even imagine. You can't conceive of what I'm capable of. I'm so far beyond you. I'm like a god in human clothing. Lightning bolts shoot from my fingertips.
Said that. I said, I'm going to miss the show so bad. Jimmy, yes, Chad framework. Oh, we must have been through this chat before because I remember us reading that, right?
I remember talking about the finger framework and not figuring out what we meant by that.
Interesting. So this must be our second time through this chat, I think, but that's fine because I'm honestly learning from it. So anyways, Jimmy, yes, Chad framework. That is such a fantastic line. Saul channeled that sub 1 energy. And am I correct that the framework has reverted back once more and is currently at simply will to taste? Is this in contrast or addition to me, you, and we? I say me, you, and we are all included in will to taste. Me, you, and we, you could say is me would be left brain or white hole, and then you would be right brain or black hole, and we would be wormhole or both. You could still say that. So that's kind of interesting to see white hole, black hole, and wormhole live on through me, you, and we. I say, explain how the seeking of differentiation of forces was just trying to explain a will to taste. So now I'm saying Twin Peaks is just will to taste. True. That's literally something I've been thinking about the past couple days. That's what, like, the whole, that's actually what, what's it called? The Hyperion beam. That's what Hyperion beam's whole thing is that it's Twin Peaks is will to taste. It's not just will to taste, but it's the concept specifically of saying this is how Twin Peaks is saying will to taste. It's like the Aperion beam is just saying that you're cutting from Xazix down to Zix, and right, and if you're doing that, if you're shooting from God's perspective down to the human perspective, then what you're doing is you're understanding both poles, right? The poles are you or like any conscious being, and then God, and like those two things are forced to forever fight against each other. Those are the two sides of the Great War, right? It is the things which will always be wanting a particular thing, and then the thing which will always want to be everything possible. So it's like there are the individuals anything which wants something, a bacteria, a tree, a fucking cow, a monkey, a pig, like an interdimensional, lizard, like no matter what it is, no matter what thing exists, every single thing that exists is going to or every individual, I should say, everything which wants something in particular, everything which has its own visible will, right, separate from its environment, is going to want a particular thought texture. It's going to desire something in particular. And with that desire for something in particular, it has strayed from the desire for infinity, everything, the desire to expand. And that's what God is. So whenever you understand that there are two different poles, there is the pole which wants to be everything and the pole which wants to be individual things, then you understand the two poles, which are the two poles of reality. You understand the twin peaks. You understand that these two forces wage war against each other across infinity. And then with that understanding, you can understand that everything is the will to taste, because really it's not just your will or just God's will. It's that they're the same will. It's that within God's will to be everything, there must be every individual thing wanting to be just a thing, right? Like for God to be everything, you must have the individuals that want to be a bacteria, that want to be a tree, that want their own experiences, that want to selfishly make reality monotonous and bend entirely to their will and stop being everything else, stop giving them challenges, stop giving them obstacles, and just let them exist in bliss, right? Let them exist in where they want to exist. And with that desire, right? You think there's separation. You think that there's God's will to be everything, and you think that there's your will to be something. And really, that's the same will. With God's will to be everything, there has to be you wanting to be something. And so that is what the will to taste says, is that it's all the will to taste. The will to taste necessitates both of those. Yeah, that's what I'm saying right here. And that's also what a Purion beam is saying, right? As you cut across from God to you, you're making it one will. You're cutting the poles, you're cutting through them, and you're understanding them as one pole, one force, one thing. It's not two things smashing into each other. It's a torus, right? Explaining how the seeking of differentiation of forces was just trying to explain will to taste. Essentially, you are trying to reach the feeling. Always understand how breathing is will to taste. That's true and real. I've been focusing on that lately. That's why I did the whole day spent on understanding Larry's breathing. Understand how breathing and or lack of breathing is will to taste. Power versus perfection, left brain versus right need both. Not the concept of breathing, the lifetime translation of what it feels like. The goal is everything, but thrashing also. Is silence the goal? God, these are lots of like great questions. Every single one of these would make a great video. Like just these questions metaphysically. Is silence the goal? Like that would be a great video. Lifetime breathing and how it's related to eating everything. Lifetime breathing and how it's related to eating everything. Reaching outwards to translate as much as you can. So translate is my new way of saying like you're translating experiences into God's experience of them, or you're eating them, you're consuming them, you're understanding them as perfect. So like translating is like translating your human perspective into God's perspective. You are targeting the feeling of breathing, not the concept. Therefore, you are eating the mind itself. Big if true, and it is. A bunch of exclamation marks. And that is so true and so important. That is literally the whole concept of Revelimter. That's like you go so far into appreciating that you appreciate the appreciating, and then your models collapse in on themselves. And that's literally what I'm talking about here. Yeah. You begin to eat the mind itself, as I say. So eloquently put.
The stomach digesting itself.
You betcha. You are targeting the feeling of breathing, not the concept. Therefore, you're eating the mind itself. Big if true, and it is. It's like love, time, all thought texture conversion. Lifetime, all thought texture conversion. So in other words, it's like your lifetime is interesting. Lifetime is basically a lot of, it's actually a lot like what the thought textures I'm working with right now are, which is super fascinating, where it's like it's all about each individual thought as it goes by, not like the narrative. You don't want to get caught up in the narrative. You want to, as every word goes by, you want to hit it individually. And that's like what lifetime is. Lifetime is like you should be dealing with only exactly the present moment as it goes by and nothing else. So I'm saying lifetime, all thought texture conversion. So it's like you're converting every thought instantly into thought textures as soon as it comes up. That's what that framework is. Everything gets consumed because you're not conceptualizing breathing. You're dealing directly with thought textures, the perception structure. Holy shit, I just dropped a fucking perception structure in the year of our Lord 2022. This job is fucking awesome, so surreal, not true, not real. Understanding will to taste on breathing, it is. I do wonder if I can go back to that job now with Adderall and not have any trouble at all. Understanding will to taste on breathing, it is not a concept to be catalyzed, but to be actively explored. Understand versus I am. That's super interesting. I love that. It's not a concept to be catalyzed, but it's something to be actively explored. It's a lot like what I'm thinking now, which is like it's something which actively always needs to be evolved. Because when you understand that everything is purely frameworked, then you understand that all you can do is like be in a constant state of framework evolution. And like that's basically what I'm saying there. It's like whenever you understand the will to taste, you don't understand the will to taste as a concept. You understand it as like an active process. Or it's like God is not being, God is becoming. God is the process of becoming himself. And I say understand versus I am, lifetime breathing, and every layer reaching back. Every layer reaching back is like I was saying before, it's like you're just consuming every layer of your mind, every individual thing, every framework, if you will. I sent Boros. I say so good. Swinging in the pocket arguments. I still stand by that. It's a very fascinating thing. There's something about whenever you argue with someone and you're both so angry that you are literally not spending any time between responses because there is no time. You just spend as soon as one person's response ends, you immediately have to lash out. And so it's like you can't think about your thoughts. You have to just let them fly. And so you have to be like swinging in the pocket. Like there's no time to couch your thoughts in like niceties. It's just like pure swing in the pocket. There's something very interesting and like useful. Like there's a way to learn about yourself through that. I am only to signify every layer. Breathing is still a prerequisite. Kick demo framework, question mark, kick demo framework. I am left brain versus right brain. Left my mind every layer. Left my mind every layer. Right is truth. Truth and universe walks with me. I am is universe walks with me. It's not that is me, it's I am everything. 1, I am. 2, will to taste. 3, breathing. Understanding is the left brain version of truth. Wanted to note that when I went to dispensary earlier today, it was more full of people than I'd ever seen before. It was so cute to deconstruct the idea that a hurricane is causing us to get more weed. Plato Y Chad framework. Stav Laugh framework. Joey Diaz / Theo Vaughn framework. No idea what that means. Any of those. I rounded the S framework. The fuck? Train lap sleep framework. Get to the bottom of everyone. Framework comeback. Real, so real. Framework comeback is always a good sign. Get to the bottom of everyone. I'm assuming that just means like look at everyone as God and not you. Like look at them as just like their will to taste. Look at them as just like what they want and not like a thing, a person. The reason breathing is inseparable from I am will to taste is because if you understand it properly, you will already be consuming every nuance of breath. Real. The Sam Hyde framework. It's not very elaborative.
I'm going to try to record a glossary call. I'd be interested to see how that goes. I think it may actually go better than regular calling, especially after I've got Walmart brain. I'm not capable of stringing together my sentences masterfully. I am after like a few days of pure meditation. So Boxer should help bridge that gap, which I'll see. There's no separate voice message now for the thing, which I was trying to stuff. So what I found lately is that the number one thing to help me get into this framework is thinking about breathing, specifically because the whole point of this framework is like making it the question mark framework, making it one framework. I found the best way to do that isn't to think about I am or fucking the other part. I'm sorry, I'm pressing right now. But it's not to think about I am or drop fucking down and make it up the road and come stuck to the road. Here's one. So you have I am, which is not great particularly, and then you have stuff is not great. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, I'm gonna go just inaccurate language is genuine bane of my existence. So piece of shit now. So I am is not particularly great for keeping framework. It's just a concept. Obviously, if you're trying to think about I am, just trying to think about I am separately from taste. It's not great. Think about one taste separately from I am or breathing. It's also not great. So the best one to focus on is breathing, step 3. And specifically, what I'm doing lately, which has been working extremely well, is thinking about how breathing is an inevitability of I am will to taste. Whenever you understand that, like consuming the nuances of breathing is inevitable, because if you understand that you are will to taste, then you will immediately start consuming contextual nuances because you are, for lack of a better word, or you are will to taste. And whenever will to taste exists and understand that it is will to taste eats because will to taste loves its own taste, right? So And that's what breathing is. Where breathing falls into. It's essentially that whenever you're properly consuming your breathing, that's an inevitability of properly running I am will to taste. That they're all sort of inseparable, and that whenever you are consuming breathing, you are inherently also I am will to taste, and then that doesn't exactly spread to everything else. It already is there because it's all one thing. And then we're fucking short, very simple, short and sweet. You got I am will to taste on breathing. And the way you launch it is you take breathing, and then you just think about how consuming every nuance of breathing, lifetime breathing, in other words, understanding how that is an inevitability of I am will to taste, and how those pieces are directly interconnected and inseparable. And as soon as you understand why that is, then you are just you are I. You are will. Will the translator is not a new framework. It's basically a thought texture package. And anyways, what it means is that your job isn't to eat. Sort of thing about like classic pitfall. You start understanding how how essentially through both sides of the taste, through white hole, black hole, you understand that you are we and that we is here in the middle, and that essentially we gets to eat, and that's the privilege of we. And we get to taste the things that we bring that into. And anyways, that's eating, and you don't want to think about it. Eating, like you don't want to think I'm going to eat these things. Then you're already in a left-brain conceptualized territory. You're eating to be a product. Never means to get there. And anyways, the point is that how you get there is by will to translator, which basically means will to taste. You're going to translate everything into will to taste. You look at that tree in your and that tree will taste. You look at the boots in your will taste. Obviously, it's not in conceptualized way like I talk about it. That's not language. It's non-conceptual. It is eating. Translating is eating. As soon as you translate something into God, you're immediately consuming it. Anyways, that's what framework tries to be. I am was dropped. It's useless. It's already rectangle squared. Principle of mutual exclusivity is already consumed by will to taste. It was necessary for a little while. It was training us. Let me know what I should look for, but this point just fades out. So now all we're left with is will to taste and breathing. And how you understand it is that what you're doing with your breathing is you're applying will to taste to your breathing to translate your breathing into God. And with that, you'll start translating everything else. Because that's what framework is. It's just that breathing is one byproduct of it, and breathing is like sort of your anchor. It's what you do all the time. But anyways, the framework itself, you can still bring that in. It's still work. It's just will to taste or will to translator because you're translating everything that you experience into will to taste. You're understanding how will to taste, and you're basically understanding God. So it's understanding its truth. It's just pure raw emotional side. And like I said, that is eating. Whenever you understand something, whenever you understand what the tree is, quote unquote, in relation to God, whenever you understand what it is in will to taste, you understand how it is will to taste, then you're eating.
Damn, that was good. That was good. That was the best like Foxer rant I think I've heard from myself so far. That was nice. Nice, especially after that was a night of work too. Damn, brother. Damn.
This era, it was very particularly like very vintage.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was like the best one like right now probably. This was the original Will to Taste. How could it not be? This is basically the same thing that's being repeated right now. Yeah. Okay. So I say where is it? So I say I am is back, baby. Every layer included, but it's a bizarre synthesis between that and I am ego sense. New eat yourself, Ouroboros. Aim the will to taste at yourself. Breathing is one of every nuance. Consume. God likes the taste of your tears. Multifaceted story framework. This video is no longer available due to a copyright claim. Damn, a lot of these videos are no longer available. Sad. Exazix Azix Zix is will to taste. Black hole. God, the peak which wants to taste everything finite. Zix. White hole, the one which wants to taste everything infinite. Not how you are. Not how you are a piece of will to taste, but how you are all of will to taste. When you understand you are the will to taste, the world becomes your self-made playground. I am will to taste is interdimensional eater's skeleton key. The teacher's cheat sheet for anything interdimensional. Ego is to taste symphony framework. Return to an ego is to taste with will to taste as translation. Return to an ego is to taste due to the way it relates to interdimensional eating. Make will to taste both interdimensional and eating at the same time, like an ego is to taste. Will to taste punchline to the Ouroboros joke. Oh, that's hilarious. That's such an insane way to think about that. That's fucking, I love that. Do you get that?
I'll recap it.
It's will to taste punchline to the Ouroboros joke. That's just like such a bizarre schizophrenic person way to think about like all of reality, but like that is so true. That's fucking hilarious. I never would have thought of that nowadays. Will to taste punchline to the Ouroboros joke. So I'm basically just saying like all of anything is Ouroboros. Like everything is the Ouroboros, and I'm saying like that's
that's like the joke. The whole joke is Ouroboros. But then, like, the punchline is will to taste.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a very confusing concept, but it's like that. I really, really like that. There's something very funny about that to me. Okay, will to taste is the new interdimensional skeleton key. Acid instant boot up framework. Perhaps I am will to taste is the perfect left brain or lightning reboot, whereas an ego is to taste is perfect right brain or electric ocean. Will to taste versus an ego is to taste. Both serve as capable vessels of interdimensional eater. Jesus. Will to taste versus an ego is to taste. Both serve as capable vessels of interdimensional eater. One step. But an ego is to taste is binded with the spell of acid, where will to taste is not. However, will to taste has superior linguistic accuracy. At the moment, it holds specific concepts. Should it? Skeleton key framework. Will to taste skeleton key. That's cool. It's like you want to stay within the framework menu, but you want to think about will to taste as like a skeleton key. So you don't want to think about it as like a framework you're always running, but you want to think about it as like the framework that's the answer to 90% of questions. So then you're just like always trying to find the best framework, and then you always reach to will to taste as like a backup. That's kind of what the skeleton key is saying. An ego is to taste versus will to taste on breathing. We are will to taste on breathing for noise, for instance, thinking or talking. An ego is to taste for silence, for instance, wrestling or meditating. Time crystal, yeah, here's time crystal. Time crystal will ego, we will to taste. Exasix, azix, we will to taste. I'm sorry, exasix, azix, zix, we will to taste.
But an ego is to taste. Now this one was branded with like sub 1 match. I mean, this was just impeccable, the enchantments on it. Works oh so well. I have contact for candy. Anytime you buy those words, they're branded with massive experience that they help you. And it was instant. It was basically what the thing that means. It was just eat bitch. And anyway, I heard it, and we got we're building a whole V thing, and we eventually got down to one that's called we in parentheses will to taste on breathing. So right now, this one, it didn't have the insane efficiency. However, it's more linguistically accurate, right? You have we will to taste on breathing. Like there's more going on here, more that explains what's going on, more than language of little. Favorite thing, I broke down into the category, the interdimensional category and the eater category, which is work left brain and right brain. And so essentially, an ego is to take game right brain. That was the one which was just instant, just like eat. And then you can imagine this one's we, the reason for parentheses is because we will do a breathing. The reason we will do it really is there. You don't think of the subject as a piece of the puzzle, not even like in framework. What do you mean? Because if you just have it as will take breathing, it's already says we. In other words, if you do will take breathing, which is just literally applying will take to breathing, you're essentially digging up concept. It was like what I was talking about before, mining versus understanding. You can mine a concept with your left brain, which you think about implications, like in other words, will take on breathing would be mining, because I would be thinking about how my breathing is will take. I would be thinking about that concept of my left brain. Okay, so my breathing is just like the infinite fraction, because each and every breath I take is to refer. You know, what I mean, that's the dialogue with one, and that is will take breathing. And then you have an ego take. This one, it's not. It's not you don't think about it. You don't think about words. It's not a topic that you mine out. It's pure understanding. It's pure truth. You look at the context, the context will immediately influence your thought, and depending on how well you understand the context, depends on how powerful you get as a reward will be. Anyway, that's sort of playing around with that concept. You know, they both have their own individual use, right? You got one for left brain, you got one for right brain. Maybe the left brain one will take some breathing. Maybe that one's better for conversation thinking. If you have a reading from the echo, or you're recording conversation, then you can use will take we will take on breathing, and that will just give you an ego boost, because what you're just thinking about is in eye and everything. Conversation, that's what then also give you a path. But it's conceptual. The left brain doesn't shut the brain up. It's an issue for conversation. So that's interesting. That's some of the things. You know, the right brain won't be for things like wrestling, appreciating music, eating food, meditating, anything you're going to be silent. That would be what an ego would take for. And then I came to the conclusion of, okay, so now let's make that time. I'm like, well, let's make it where any time that you're thinking and you want to think, then you just use will to taste on breathing. Or we will taste on breathing. I'm just going to start calling it taste and or I'm sorry, will versus ego. Will, which is we versus will to taste on breathing. The left brain one, and you have the right brain one, which is ego. So just right brain, ego. Left brain is will. But I think so you have the right brain being the good for like wrestling and any type of China words. Will is better for any type of word you want to use your brain. And yeah, so it was really quiet. I'm gonna take this louder and I'm gonna read it. Okay, so you started with, you had.
I really like we will to taste. I really like that. I'm tempted to just steal that again.
We're replacing anything or just in addition?
No, just like as far as like what like something to like think, like as far as a framework to
Yeah.
run. The concept of like running we will to taste, like that's a really potent thought texture. Like thinking that thought we will to taste and thinking about like in the same way like an ego is to taste is like it's like a sentence. It's like a something which literally it's like it commands you to do something almost. Same thing with like we will to taste. It's like it's not just a statement that describes reality. It's like a command. It's like it both describes everything which could exist, but then also tells you what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And could you describe again like specific connotations of we? Like is that's
We
everything?
would be Twin Peaks.
Uh,
We would be God, who is the one who seeks difference, and then us, who are the ones who seek same. So, like for us, we just wish, oh my God, I just wish reality could be confined to the ones where my bike doesn't break, the ones where I feel good, the ones where I'm not starving, the ones where I'm not being chased by a lion. Right? That's what every
so
individual
is that
wishes.
supposed to be like we as in it's both God's will and our will in one?
Yes.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah, because it shows like the other ideas sort of disconnect them, but that one is just singular.
Exactly. And then literally will to taste means that. So it's like we is the we meaning our will and God's will, and then will to taste, which means our will and God's will. Like it's literally just we will to taste. It is perfectly defines everything in reality. Why? We will to taste. What is this? We will to taste. I mean, why did this happen? We will to taste. Like literally any question like should I go to the bank right now? We will taste. Like literally everything. What should I be afraid while talking to the gas station clerk? How do I get rid of the social anxiety? We will taste. Like every single thing has the same exact answer. We will taste. So that's interesting. I don't know how we're
Yeah,
gonna jack that into the
kind of like that
story,
one.
but I'll figure it out. Yeah, it's nice. I really like that one.
Also, so Zazix, we will take. So you have Zazix, which that's going to be will take, right? Top level, hopefully this is fast. Zazix is going to be will take. So an ego is a taste versus will taste. Okay, and will to taste was very conceptual. Right? Will to taste, you basically what the process of will taste was, and this is the left brain one. You essentially took your breathing and you thought, how is this will to taste? And you might, just like the concept of the other day, mining versus understanding. You can mine a concept with your left brain, or you can understand it with your right brain. One of them is preferred, and the other one is thought. And so anyway, you use this concept of just taking your breathing and turning it into will to taste logically, mining it out and gaining individual angles on how your breathing is will to taste, how everything is will to taste. You are will to taste. And that trick of we, whenever you understand your breathing is will to taste, and we, which is the you are will to taste, trick of being we, which is really powerful. That's very good for left brain situation. But okay, so at first I was trying to figure out which one was better. I was trying to figure out, okay, which one's superior. Should I go with ego's taste or should I go with will's taste? And the assistant I came to was, well, ego's taste seems better in the sense that it is quicker. It's more binded with sub-1 electricity. So it's like a thought texture perk. It's a bonus where it will kick in faster and be more potent because of the experience that it's associated with. But then the upside of will's taste and breathing was it was much more specific. You didn't get lost as easy. It wasn't as abstract. And you could do it while doing things like speaking or thinking, and it wouldn't shut down the brain entirely. However, it wasn't as quick. So those are sort of the trade-offs. And I'm thinking, okay, so which one am I settle on? The thing I was thinking about settle, they didn't work similarly, or anything. They both had their own merits. I couldn't see one was better. And then I eventually came to the conclusion that, okay, so how I'm going to, I accidentally simply separated them into each other own use. And I realized that, okay, so anytime that you're thinking, so speech or, thinking about a particular topic that you think you may invent in or listen to a video, you're going to want to use the conceptual breathing. And so you're going to want to use the concept of will taste against breathing. You're going to use that if you're in any capacity thinking. However, if you want silence, it's going to be directly eating things. And you're going to want an egoistic page, right? Because you're going to want the more right brain one, which dissolves everything, like your silence instantly. So, whereas each have their own individual merit, and I was thinking of keeping those two separate frameworks, and I realized, okay, so my flow is time for the one where anytime that you want to think, you're always using will taste, and anytime that you want silence, then you use an egoistic taste. And then I essentially was like, okay, well, obviously if we're going to use them in the same framework, let's just see if we can combine them, and we don't have to use different pieces. And so we did, and what we came out the other end with was we will taste. So essentially, it's so I'll just go ahead and translate first ego taste into it. So all that ego was trying to say in ego taste is basically just everything that you are. So like the most accurate word to describe it would probably be Zix. Zix is the taste, but probably the most accurate word. The problem is if you're thinking about how I was thinking about why my brain presented to me in this way and why it's so potent in this particular way, and I realized that it's like the point of an ego is to basically just say what you are and only what you are. Because if you say Zix, then you're going to need to like almost conceptualize and think about okay, why does it say Zix? basically, if you're running it, you're going to be thinking like, okay, well, why does it say Zik and not just like me, right? Basically, and you're going to turn it into a concept. People understand why it applies to Zik, and that's not what the framework is going for. You don't want it to be so linguistically complex and accurate that it provokes thought. That's not what you want. You want it to be basic enough where it's rudimentary thought vector. And so essentially what you're looking for is you're just looking for a placeholder for yourself, and you don't want it to, inspire any exterior context. So the first word is we, and we've already used for the Twin Peaks framework. It was a great word. So I just we and then made it we will to taste. So now you also have will to taste thrown in there, and essentially what it is now you can immediately switch between, if you're thinking, okay, well then it can be we will to taste left brain, and it can be, you can conceptualize breathing, and you can make it where you're thinking about breathing as a concept, and thinking about you're thinking about them in relation to God. Interesting. It's more like how to find truth. So, for instance, if you're in a debate with somebody and you want to know how to win, or if you need to make a moral decision and you need to know which to choose, right? You're in the phone call and you need to choose. I'm going to make it go left or right. Essentially, then you're going to use the conceptualized breathing. You're going to use left brain. You're going to essentially compare whatever is in your mind. You're going to compare whatever is in your mind. You're going to compare it to God. It's in relation to God. In relation to Infinite. You're in relationing it. You're putting it in perspective. And that's the left brain one, which is conceptualized breathing. And then you have the right brain one, which is instant silence. You're just consuming everything, and it is literally just a message: eat, like shove, and eat the highest strength, cup and eat. And it's instantaneous. It makes your brain go silent, and you just consume automatically. And anyway, this contains both of those immediately, and you just do it will, and super simple, linguistically correct. I think it's pretty perfect. But I'm supposed to will tell. Right? That's literally everything is will taste. Nothing isn't will taste. Will taste is the most primary thing. Will taste is, the prerequisite existence, right? And so it's top level. Then you have ASIC, which is the second level, and it's our class concept of that. ASIC is going to be black hole, right? ASIC is going to be the one which reaches outward, loves everything, and wants to consume every experience, right? And so that's going to be ASIC, and that's going to be synonym for dead matter, right? Because if you think about it, everything which exists and isn't in that category will automatically be dead matter. So ASIC doubles over as both a term for our classic concept of God and also one thought vector matter. And then you have Zik, which of course both means good fighter or person, and also means white hole. That's extremely obvious because white hole, literally the definition of white hole is just the one which reaches towards God, and that's any form of Zik. Any form of Zik coming back to reaches towards God with evolution, whether it's or not. You know what I mean? It's kind of a thing. So the point is, it's just that you have ASIC, and Zik, and they now denote will taste of white hole and black hole, respectively. Or I'm sorry, black hole and then white hole, respectively. So it's will to taste, white hole, black hole, and that's ASIC, and now it's also the original thing. So that's really cool. You got some shit going on there, which is nice. And I wanted to jump into essentially explaining the failings of we, why it eventually got cut off before it got resurrected, and essentially just say that, like, we was a flawed topic, was a flawed word only in the sense that it denoted that it wasn't everything, it was just one and two. And essentially, whenever you understand black hole and white hole as only pieces of will taste, then it all makes sense, right? An ego is to taste. It doesn't try to establish we, which is why it works. If you're thinking about we, obviously you're thinking about the topic, you're thinking about left, you're thinking about conceptually with place that has its own merit in specific topics. But it's not primary all the time. It's obviously when you do lots of left training and not eating and consuming. So you don't want your framework to have that be an integral piece. However, we in this framework, in this context, it isn't working the same way. It isn't. It isn't denoting we as in you trying to be me and you. It's denoting we only in the sense, like really only in the byproduct sense. Like we is only a will to taste. Like you're not thinking of we independently from will to taste. You're not thinking of yourself as black hole and white hole as respective topics. The we is basically just a way to say will to taste.
That's
because
literally
you are
what I
both,
just
you are both
said.
of the things which make up we. If you are both black hole and white hole, then you have all of will to taste. You everything with possibly black hole, everything with possibly white hole, then you have all of will to taste. So we is basically just saying I am will to taste. And then we will to taste instead, so the reason it doesn't just say that is because then you have we will to taste as a statement, just like an ego is to taste, seriously telling you, shut the fuck up and eat. So you now have both the conceptualized we, which says, I am will to taste, and you also have the unconceptualized shut the fuck up and eat, which is a will to taste. So you have we will to taste. That is the final framework for now. Hopefully forever, but for now. I'm going to give a brief ramble on the relationship between 1 and 2, which is I am will to taste and exasic. I am will to taste serves as essentially a skeleton key, and the definition of a skeleton key is, for instance, with interdimensional, the skeleton key, interdimensional black hole, right? You needed something which could drive.
So I said a lot in the meantime here. Hold on, let me read it all. So apparently I dropped we are will to taste in the meantime like a retard. Because I just said I am will to taste, so that's gay, but just got offered 42 tabs for 250. Reliable guy, goddamn tempting. Origami framework. Oh, origami framework. That's really cool. That's one that I've been thinking about a lot. it is the concept of everything that you could possibly experience is just God folding himself into that. So it's like origami, right? Everything that you can experience is just God origami or God me.
But yeah,
God
yeah, I
the
like that one.
paper. And we eat fractal. Fuck is this? Okay, hold on. Let me show you what I've got here. Jesus. Oh yeah, here it is. You see this? The what's highlighted?
Yeah.
Do you kind of see what that's saying?
So eat.
What that's saying is that like within the W of we eat, there is within it contained another we eat. So what that's saying is that it's like, yeah, it's saying that like literally every time you eat, every time you even say we eat, you must also eat that. So it's like it's saying that like within the statement we eat, there's a cooked in self-eating. So it's like there's never a bottom. There's not even the we eat is you. There has to be a we eat, which eats we eat, which eats we eat, which eats we eat, because there's always a we eat contained within a we eat. So anytime you hit we eat with a we eat, there's a we eat within that eating that we eat. So that's what that's saying.
On the Wii.
You betcha. They should make frosted mini we eat.
We smoking
We
some
will to
weed.
taste. We will to taste collapses into we eat. Okay, that's interesting. So we changed we will to taste into we eat. I like we will to taste better, but I do like we eat. An ego is to taste right brain. I'm not gonna bother with that. Or we will to taste. Okay, so no, I'm saying exclamation mark is an ego is to taste. Question mark concept left brain. I don't know. You use we are will to taste as a constant flame to exacerbate the effects of we eat. Okay, I don't get that. We will to taste is the collapsing of these two into one. We will to taste having both the divine lightning, Twin Peaks, and the eating. Lifetime breathing versus concept breathing. I don't know what concept is. I don't know what the framework is. We means will to taste. So will to taste, wills to taste. Left brain versus will to taste, wills to taste. Right brain? Oh, okay. So I'm saying will to taste, wills to taste is left brain, but will to taste, wills to taste is right brain. So it's like the left brain would ask it as a question. It would say will to taste, wills to taste, but then right brain is like it's a statement. It's an emphatic claim. We will to taste, like, or not, no, that will to taste, wills to taste. It's like the first one is like a question, and then the second one is like the answer. Understanding we is left brain. Understanding wills to taste is right brain. Loving every part of the brain is the way to unlock super brain. Every layer. First you had acid ocean, then acid baptism, thrashing, and so on. Sitting up labels into eras. Feedback loop. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Wait a minute.
What the fuck?
Wait a minute.
What?
That sounded awfully familiar.
That's insane. That's insane. That's insane. You are trying to get enough left brain to cause a feedback loop, opening it up to the right brain. Holy fucking shit. That's insane. Left brain isn't quite linguistic, at least not fully. It isn't quite mining either. It is pure free association, only grabbing onto and modifying what's good from the stream of consciousness which emerges when pondering the topic of we, i.e., how I am will to taste or will to taste ? That's awesome. That's literally exactly what I've been working on. This is like the new Genius framework, or even the old Genius framework that I've been talking about lately, which is just the concept of it's not mining. It isn't, you're not looking for things. It needs to be pure free association, only grabbing onto and modifying what's good from the stream of consciousness which emerges when pondering the topic of will to taste. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what your daily framework needs to be. And it's like, that's, oh my God, I can't even explain to you how much this lesson right here is integral, the most integral piece to everything I've been learning, where it's like, it can't be, you can't be thinking about something. This is like, basically, this statement right here is pure framework, right? Where it's like, whenever you understand that there's nothing at the bottom of frameworks, whenever you understand that everything is just the choosing of the best frameworks, then you don't think about things. All you do is grab onto and modify what's good, or choose the best frameworks as you move through them, right? That is literally, I'm talking about pure framework right there, but I'm talking about it in different words. That's incredible. That's beautiful. One sentence to explain everything. Will to taste, ? Left brain. Wills to taste, ! Right brain. Return to the bit. Comedy being defining trait logically because career. That's weird. Return to the bit. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've literally, there's voice messages recently talking about the bit. Whenever we get back to the voice messages I've left you over the past like 2 weeks, these voice messages right here are going to be insane. Whenever you understand everything is will to taste, you then begin eating taste nuances. Left brain, then right brain. One. Upgrade. How much you understand will to taste is directly how much you will to taste! The starred one is the biggest one. Mull over that one more. I don't know which one was the starred one. I say this meme is tailor-made, and then it says the orb is not necessary. I've seen enough. That is hilarious. This is literally right after I gave up the Orbify story. Framework ooze is officially eaten. Interesting. The goal of black hole is to taste. Will to taste! Eating right brain. The goal of white hole, will to taste ? Wondering on the route to the best taste thrashing. So I'm saying that like will taste ! Is eating, and I'm saying that will taste ? Is trying to find like the best thing to eat. White hole is basically framework. Find the best frameworks to taste the best taste. Find God through framework is the preaching of the left brain. Wasn't interdimensional basically framework as well? Also, I don't see which message I starred. True. We will to taste versus ego is to taste, a skeleton key to IE, which is interdimensional. Left brain is interdimensional. Its exact definition is anything which makes you understand how everything is will to taste, or just understand will to taste. And understanding will to taste is what causes eating. So left brain is interdimensional, which the exact definition of interdimensional is anything that makes you understand how everything is will to taste. And the necessary consequence of understanding will to taste will always be eating. Two types of breathing. ? Which is anything to cause understanding will to taste, and ! Which is tasting or understanding will to taste. Understanding everything, every object, every thought, every action, every nuance is you willing to taste. Is will to taste. Oh, understanding everything, every object, every thought, every action, every nuance is you willing to taste. That is will to taste. So it's like all of that is willing to taste, and then understanding that is will to taste. And so, therefore, you are inseparable from we will to taste. Only open consuming every single thing can have you devour. It doesn't happen individually. Only upon understanding that the entire multiverse warps itself into your form just to taste, it can eat you. Not conceptually, it is right now. Every note of music, every tree, every rock was made exclusively to taste. Understanding that is eating. It's all here for me. Everything and everyone contort themselves for me. The cold, your back hurting, it's all for me. The distinction of your is interesting. It speaks for itself now. This framework is bonkers, positively bananas. It has no marbles. Can it be recondensed into will to taste? Isn't will to taste the right brain and we is the left? Seems like they both serve a purpose. And so, after some time, would you ultimately recommend the Walmart job? How is it for frameworking? Oh, these are your questions. Isn't will to taste the right brain and we is the left? Seems like they both serve a purpose. And so, after some time, would you ultimately recommend the Walmart job? How's it for frameworking? I just woke up from a cockroach crawling on me, and in the next few seconds before I even realized I existed, I managed to grab a cup, capture it from the side of my bed, and maneuver it to a secondary location for me to reassess the situation. It was like some Spider-Man shit, how quick and precisely I moved. Interesting to deconstruct just how much my mind and ego does not like what happened. Absolutely rancid. Now every movement I feel is contaminated by that nuke-proof mini dragon demon entity. I send State of Georgia versus Denver. Fenton Allen, Rick and Morty.
Classic.
I say call soon. I say will to taste breathing, question mark, will to taste breathing, exclamation mark. The statistics argument rule. Oh, true. You should always argue in statistics and questions. Nietzsche, Jacques Y.S. de la Reza framework. We are exasics, question mark. We are exasics, exclamation mark. So this is what I'm trying to figure out that we, this is what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I'm trying to put will to taste as exasics. It didn't work out very well, but it was interesting. Anger is the failure of language. Exasics has no feeling. It isn't a god. It can only be pictured as this moment. That's so fucking based. Anytime you try and imagine Exasics as a god or like something abstract and not something that isn't directly an individual thought texture, you're fucking up. It is all thought textures, not like the thing beyond thought textures. It's not beyond. It's not separate. It is just the collection of all of them. Am I versus I am. Acid Exasics. Framework triple mark. Exasics question mark exclamation mark. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. That just means the last message was important. Acid Exasics, question mark, exclamation mark, is the new framework gold medalist. So that's Acid Exasics and Tarotbang. Somehow that replaced We Will to Taste. We'll see what the fuck this shit is. I want this to be extremely clear for future me. There's absolutely no difference in Will to Taste and Exasics. Thoughts are just thought textures that aren't being eaten. The question mark is solving that problem. So what I'm saying is that the question mark is any time you are trying to fix that. So thought textures are just thought textures that aren't being eaten. Thoughts are just thought textures that aren't being eaten. So like a thought from your ego, an individual thought, is just a thought texture that isn't being consumed as a thought texture directly. And so the question mark is anytime you're having regular thoughts and they're not directly consumed as thought textures, the question mark is the process of trying to figure out how to consume it as a thought texture. Becoming a hive mind is merging intellectual consistencies. That's a really interesting concept. Video topic on every issue, you should become you or you should become them. That's a good concept. That would be a good video. I'm coming up to KY for 9 days for Thanksgiving. Last 4 without Ryan. Wonder if we could get a sunrise camper trip. I'm sure we could. Call tonight. What time? 8. Postpone 10 or 9. Question mark isn't just thinking about breathing and how it is will to taste. It is doing anything possible to understand, right brain, how it is true that will to taste is and was already will to taste, which then creates eating, which is not a separate stage, just when the first stage is successful. Dahmer worm. No clue. It isn't real. I know the worm framework was like a sub 1 framework where I imagined like the tenet of the metaphysical worm, which was understanding like your job is to endlessly like squirm in the sun for God, and it's like your suffering is the point. That was like a sub 1 framework. I don't know how the fuck that ties into Jeffrey Dahmer or lobotomy, unless lobotomy was Deleuze, but I don't think it was. Catboy Deleuze's whole thing was lobotomy, but it isn't realizing the ways in which breathing is will to taste. It is using the feeling of breathing as the avenue into realizing every truth about exasics. Or in other words, it's not about trying to convert breathing into will to taste. It's about trying to understand that breathing always was will to taste, which makes you understand everything is will to taste. The full understanding with the full understanding you are eating. Breathing, eating, every nuance or individual aspect of will to taste is inevitable. You start with breathing and work your way to everything through it. Exasics, 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 triple mark. I should show these to my psychologist and say, look, I'm not crazy, right? That's the perfect, most mathematically sound framework. Is it now? I think I see what I'm saying. It's just like it's like I'm basically saying it's like you should be in a consistent process of understanding everything as Zix, Azix, and Exazix, and then what that's going to look like is, you know what I mean, Exazix, and then within Exazix you have Azix and Zix, and then you're going to have that immediately running into another Exazix, into another Exazix. So it's just a consistent process of converting everything into the Exazix breakdown. And the triple mark is the concept of like the interrobang, or it was like a triple mark was just a more advanced interrobang, where it wasn't just question mark, exclamation mark. It was a question mark, an exclamation mark, and a period, and they were all Exazix. And that was supposed to be like the question mark was am I God? Exclamation mark was I am God, and then the period was supposed to be the I am God, and it was just like E. So like the question mark was like am I God? Exclamation mark was I am, and then the period was like the actual feeling of being God or wormhole. You can imagine that as black or white or wormhole again. That is the most perfect, most mathematically sound framework. However, I'm still grappling with the intricacies of we will to taste question mark into we will to taste exclamation mark. Yep, I was. It's still a great framework. Exazix has two definitions: will to taste and the mouth of God. Okay, interesting. It isn't individual streams of consciousness like the old idea of framework, but the pure unbridled flow towards Exazix. Every possible angle demonstrated moment to moment. Sometimes it's the idea of death, the idea of dreams, the idea of shows, the idea of beauty, the idea of God, the idea of the infinite. When each of these flows past just to get swept back up into the storm of reaching towards God. Two ends of time, each one forever leading into the other, making this inevitable. Eating emerges out of black hole, Ubermensch emerges out of white. When I say focus on how breathing is will to taste, it makes you realize everything is that makes sound, like a separate state. Oh, when I say you focus on how breathing is will to taste, it makes you realize everything that makes a sound, everything is that makes sound like a separate state reached through realizing breathing in relation to will to taste. However, it isn't realizing breathing is will to taste. It's automatically realizing the full question mark or the full extent of will to taste, or eating, i.e., to fully understand any one thing, you must understand all of its context. To understand breathing, you must understand everything else with it. And as soon as you do, you are in exclamation mark. It's interesting. I'm using this word understand a lot, and what I would use now is appreciate. That's like the better version of understand. There is no difference between will to taste on breathing or will to taste on music or will to taste as a concept when done right. They all lead to one place. You can switch off breathing. It is just a placeholder. Switching to different questions, breathing is just one. Come back at any time. That's cool. I like that. It's basically just saying that like you should just return to breathing whenever you don't have an active thought. That's good framework. Open question mark theorem. Yes, you can make other things the focus. The question mark remains the same. How was this already Exazix? So that's saying you can make anything the question, but the answer will always be Exazix. So the process of understanding the question will always just be the process of understanding how a thing is, understanding how it is Exazix. Open breathing theorem is correct. Breathing really does have no more focus than everything else in getting converted into understanding. So that's saying breathing is not integral. It's just that by always focusing on breathing, breathing will lead to the destruction of everything else. So you should not place emphasis on breathing. You should not focus on breathing more than you focus on other things. It's just that by always appreciating breathing, as I would say now, or by what I would say then, always understanding breathing as will to taste, you are also understanding everything else. Not just like you have to. To understand breathing, you have to understand everything else because breathing is inseparable from everything else. It's just the consistency. Exazix, better spelling and pronunciation. So I guess no, I did not go with that. The framework Exazix is just saying to eat, not to think about eating, the command to eat, but the direct action of understanding and therefore eating. Exazix means to both understand and eat simultaneously. It means one thing, God, and God means to both understand and eat. Exazix does not include eating for some arbitrary reason. It comes with understanding in understanding. Everything is God. Your love is inseparable, and thus everything is one, or eating. It all comes back to understanding exasics, the two different wills as the beginning and ending of time. The struggle of Zix, Whitehole, is to reach for the clearest, most accurate understanding of God. In other words, the goal is the computer from the mythology. What does that mean? I'm apparently asking myself. Exasics is the one word which means everything. In the same way, an ego is to taste used to mean everything right after the trip. There was so much context. It was just a stand-in to the word which means everything related to will to taste in any capacity, therefore everything that exists. That was all in parentheses. Exasics. Now means the same. It doesn't mean any one thing. It means everything. So exasics means everything. Every piece of understanding. In the same way that if you understand what it looks like behind a set of trees or on top of a mountain, including all the context, or increase understanding, the thought texture is more complex. You should be ever reaching for the most complex understanding. So I'm basically saying that, like, if you've walked all the way around a mountain, if you've seen every angle of a mountain, if you've been on every single peak and crevice to the point where you're familiar with it, then looking at it from far away, you're going to be able to have a more nuanced understanding of that mountain, even from a distance. So two people looking at it from the exact same perspective, one would be capable of understanding more. And it's like you should always be trying to pursue that deeper understanding of every crevice of the mountain. I say the most multi-angled, viewed not just from another angle, such as behind, but through every angle simultaneously. Looking at those trees from lifetimes and dimensions away, like a vibe check. The question is kinda, why is will to taste eating? Answer is because if you are will to taste, we did it. We are here, tasting. The whole open thinking on exasics, the label which means nothing because it points out no thing, very important. Once you convert anything into will to taste, you begin to realize the whole point is to eat, and every action moves towards it, which allows room for thought or something like that. It can do things like boot up thinking just to run an extreme god complex to create a new angle to eat better. Acid exasics, or AX. I am exasics, come back. Not in the sense that Ashton is exasics, converting your ego into nothingness paste by trying to understand how it is will to taste like breathing, but in the sense that exasics is Ashton, an ego complex that knows it is the one who thrashes. We need to do a full vocabulary reboot with things like thrashing. I am open exasics, framework ooze, the perfect angle for every scenario, slime which molds into every crack of existence. If you can achieve silence, you should be in it. Fuck, I sense a split, goddammit. 1. I am exasics. 2. Exasics. The first one better for difficult task, and the second one better for deep pondering, or after first step is completed. Perhaps it's the question mark, exclamation mark dynamic played out again. I am should only come into play when there's words, and there should only be words when there has to be. Exasics means whatever makes you eat. Will to taste is just the most linguistically accurate depiction. Really, it's bare reality. When understanding will to taste, you must be eating. When you say exasics, it means will to taste. It means thrashing. It means vibe check. It is the ultimate rectangle over every possible square. It is what every linguistic technique derives from pure unbridled truth, being, presence, because it means anything and everything which creates eating. Any concept is immediately invoked as soon as it is spoke. It is being exasics. In other words, AX is open to that flow because it doesn't mean any one thing. It is eating itself, the truth. There is nothing except this, and that is perfect. For I am you. For I am you need the tool. It's not I am him, it's he is me. For I am you need the tool. It's not I am him, it's he is me. I don't know, that's butchered. But I think I get the I am him. I'm not he, I am him, it's he is me. That's just saying it's like, it's not that you are God, it's that God is everything, and so you must be God. So it's not like trying to force your ego and saying like I am God. It's just the understanding that the ego is inseparable from God. It's more I am will to taste question mark and exasics exclamation mark, although technically works completely independently, so it's not exactly the same. It seems question mark just might be better for things like kickstarting and conversations and making new concepts. Like before, it only comes into play when you have to deal with words. At this moment in time, I'm leaning towards saying exasics is just better, but more experiments need done. I am
works as direct conversion into will to taste by basically swapping damn, that light hurts my eyes into that pain is gorgeous. High detail of reality turning fuck, I am tired into a multi-dimensional military I could die before I slept. So I am works as direct conversion into will to taste by basically swapping. So damn, that light hurts my eyes turns into that pain is gorgeous. Fuck, I'm tired turns into I am a multi-dimensional military I could die before I slept. Direct conversion into love for reality and forward. I am will to taste is training wheels. At the moment it seems worse but much more simple. You can get a 0.1 second thought texture that shows you the cow and suffering and joy from it, which goes into the flavor of the milk you're drinking, and then immediately return to the pure truth instead of getting wrapped up in thoughts and trying to go meta on them. The point of I am Exasics is to only when you can't remember what Exasics is, to respawn the feeling. Music not as compared to other music, but on a percentage of how accurate it is portrayed. If it is 100% accurate to what the artist wanted, it is perfect. And then you can feel its thought texture. Yo, that was some truly schizophrenic shit, but that was nice. That was fun to listen to, my God.
How much is left on this thread?
Like a third.
All right.
Why, you getting tired?
Yeah. At the very least, we could take a break sometime soon.
Yeah, I would be cool to break. The point. Okay, so I'm trying to find this voice message here. It's a 7-minute voice message. What? Oh, Jesus. What is the 10th month?
October.
I will say, right after I talk about not needing the calendar, this is the one time in my life I've ever needed a calendar more than once in one day. So I guess before we take a break, let's just go ahead. What did you think about all that? That was insane. I'm gonna need to go back. I'm gonna need to go back over this recording and go over it lots and lots and lots to actually figure out what some of this means, and then try and make a video on like this. But it's obviously very schizophrenic, very
Well,
like
it's definitely the most nuanced. It was like there's so much vocabulary, and it's also similar and yet distinct. So it's kind of hard to like wrap around all these different vocabulary, especially going months at a time. But it's definitely potent. You can definitely tell it's like strong.
yeah, definitely gonna take some time to actually deconstruct what I'm saying, but definitely lots being said. That's for sure. Okay, so like 15-minute break, something like that, 15, 20, 30-minute break, something like that, and then come back and then do another like hour or two and then wrap it up.
Yeah,
Finish up.
yeah.
I say we try and finish. Man, I would love to finish the Voxer message tonight, and like it's possible, but yeah, it's probably not gonna happen in the next 2 hours. We can at least finish every other chat, other than mine and yours chat right now. Like we can finish every other chat except for literally like the ones that I was making yesterday and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, text me whenever you are ready to call back.
Yeah, it's like around like 25, 30 minutes.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, see ya.
Do you know what time you're going hiking?
Yeah, so yeah, it'd be like 11:30ish to 12.
11:30 is to 12.
So I'll get up like 11, and then we'll be out for like 2 hours or so, and then I'll be back around 2 or 3.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean that should work. And then we just call as soon around 2 or 3. Then we do just like we did today. Where do we try and start a little earlier today? We only started recording box messages at like 5 p.m. Or like it was actually like 6 p.m. by the time we started. So if we start tomorrow at like 2 or 3, then we can completely destroy the rest of the box messages and start on the actual recordings.
or the
Yeah.
auditors or something.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. Text me whenever you're ready to call back.
All right, sounds good to you.
Mm-hmm.